Chapter 4666. This must be his mother's intention. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes drooped slightly. As her lips curled up slightly, the arc between her brows was like a rippling beauty. Don't worry about me. No matter what, I won't be fighting alone, right? The girl's voice was clear and calm. It was as if he was just saying something natural. Old man Song gazed deeply at her for a long time. In the end, his eyes rippled with emotion as he slowly nodded, yes. She would never fight alone. It didn't matter if he was in a spiritual body state or turn into a human. As an elder, he would stay by her side without any hesitation. The man and the spirit body looked at each other and smiled. He then leaned against the ice bed and closed his eyes, enjoying this rare moment of peace and tranquility. An hour later, this peace was broken by Ren Jiaming, who walked in from outside. Ren Jiaming seemed to be much more dejected. When he saw Yiqing Luo, his expression was slightly stunned, as though he had not expected Yiqing Luo to appear here. Why are you here? Ren Jiaming took quick steps forward, took a look at Yiqing Luo, and then looked at old man Song who was lying on the ice bed. Yiqing Luo tilted her head. I'm going to the earth boundary tomorrow, so I specially came over to bid farewell to him. Ren Jiaming responded indifferently. He didn't know what kind of attitude he should use to face Yiqing Luo, who went back on her words. But Yiqing Luo didn't stay for too long. He gave Ren Jiaming a few reminders and gave him some first aid pills. Then he left the place. Just as he reached the corner, Ren Jiaming suddenly said, I and old Song will wait for your return. This trip. Just how dangerous was the road ahead? No one knew. Perhaps he would die on the battlefield. That also meant that it was very likely that the old man would never be able to wake up. But he was unable to stop Yiqing Luo from doing what she wanted to do. He couldn't stop it. So he could only choose to believe in Yiqing Luo. He believed that she would definitely return safely. Yiqing Luo's footsteps paused slightly as she glanced sideways. Her long and narrow eyes seemed to be condensing a vivid light. She raised her pink lips and said firmly, Yes, I'll be back. Definitely. Night. Yiqing Luo paced around the room with an anxious expression. Chi-Chi lay on her shoulder and stroked her back with her furry tail. Dmo Xian had yet to return. Yiqing Luo believed in Dmo Xian's ability. However, in the face of the treacherous and cunning palace of Abyss Palace, all sorts of sinister tricks emerged one after another. She was very worried that the deep Yin Qi wasn't the only pit on the deep aqua light chain. At that time, Dmo Xian had dragged the azure aqua light chain away. She also hadn't clearly seen the situation on the azure water light chain. What if there was another trap waiting for him after he dealt with the mysterious Yin Qi? As time went on, the night grew darker. The more she thought about it, the more uneasy she felt. Master, go to sleep first. When Dizun arrives, Chi-Chi will wake you up. Chi-Chi rubbed her head against her. Master still has to go to the land domain tomorrow. There will be another huge battle there. If you are not in good spirits, you will easily affect everyone. Yiqing Luo held Chi-Chi in her arms and sat on the bedside. But I can't sleep. There was no news of Dmo Xian at all. How could she possibly fall asleep peacefully? Chi-Chi raised its head. Its little tiger face was adorable. Does Master like Dizun very much? The little war pet didn't really understand the taste of love. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly as she placed her chin on Chi-Chi's furry little head. The emotions between her brows became much gentler. Chapter 4667. Like. Very much. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with a faint smile. That was a unique, gentle smile towards Dmo Xian. Like how Chi-Chi likes Master? Chi-Chi tilted her head. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly, yes. Chi-Chi made a few soft sounds and rubbed her head against Yiqing Luo's arms. Then Chi-Chi will accompany Master to wait for Overlord Master. Just as she was saying that, a figure suddenly flashed outside the window. Yiqing Luo's eyes lit up as she immediately got up and greeted him. But the air was not filled with a familiar smell. The joyous expression on her face faded away bit by bit. Bloodbone Barbaric King walked in, bringing along a cold aura of the night. Yiqing Luo looked at his expressionless face and her heart thumped hard. Why are you here? Bloodbone Barbaric King walked slowly to the table and sat down. Following that, he placed something on the table, under the flickering candlelight. A brilliant necklace, sparkling with a strange glow. Yi Qingluo's body suddenly tensed up. Her eyes stared at the item on the table without blinking. Where is he? Yi Qingluo didn't touch the necklace on the table, but looked at Bloodbone Barbaric King with a sunken face. Bloodbone Barbaric King's fingertip touched that resounding necklace lightly. He has something on. What is it? He has time to send the Azure Aqua Light Chain to you, but has no time to look for me. Yi Qingluo pursed her lips, her voice was very dry. Yes. That necklace. It was the Azure Aqua Light Chain that Dmo Xian took away. But Dmo Xian asked Bloodbone Barbaric King to send the Azure Aqua Light Chain back. Then, why didn't he come back? Bloodbone Barbaric King looked at her calmly. Don't let your imagination run wild, he's fine. If he's fine, why didn't he pass the Azure Aqua Light Chain to me personally? Is he injured because of the Azure Aqua Light Chain? Afraid that I'll be worried so he doesn't dare to come and see me? Yi Qingluo's pink lips were pursed tighter and tighter. Doesn't he know that under the situation where I don't know anything, I will only be more worried about him? Yi Qingluo took a deep breath and strode to the table, holding the Azure Aqua Light Chain in one hand. Bring me to him. This god knew you would be like this. The Bloodbone Barbaric King was a little helpless. I've already said that I can't help him bring the things to you. You'll think too much, but he seems to have something very urgent, so he could only ask me to bring the things to you. What's the matter? Yi Qingluo clenched her fist. How would this god know what it is? The barbaric Bloodbone King didn't seem to care. I don't care about his matters. It's just that he asked me to pass this divine weapon that belonged to Fengge to you, so I helped him run this errand. Yi Qingluo lowered her head and looked at the brilliant light chain on her fingertips. She rushed out of the room and was about to chase after him. The Bloodbone Barbaric King immediately chased after her and stopped her. We still have to go to the Earth Domain tomorrow. Where are you going? I want to see Xian. I can only be assured after I'm sure that he's all right. Yi Qingluo bit her lower lip as her charming eyes were filled with determination. Xian, that idiot, always endured everything just to protect her. He always refused to tell her anything. He's really all right. The Bloodbone Barbaric King pressed his hands on her shoulders. You don't believe this god? Yi Qingluo didn't say a word. The Bloodbone Barbaric King said each word seriously. At least, when he passed this necklace to this god, he was all right. At that time he came in a hurry and passed the necklace to this god. He only said one sentence. To let you go to the Earth Domain first. He would come later and left in a hurry. This book came from Chapter 4668. That's right, at that time. I saw a disciple of the Imperial Palace waiting for him. The Bloodbone Barbaric Monarch added, as if he had recalled something. Yi Qingluo's eyes sunk. A disciple of the Imperial Palace? Dmo Xian left in a hurry with the Imperial Palace's disciples? Did something happen to the Varch Palace? Otherwise, why would Dmo Xian not even have the chance to see her? Since the Overlord had asked you to believe in him, you should believe in him. Bloodbone Barbaric King looked at Yi Qingluo's ugly expression and comforted her. Yi Qingluo shook her head, her slender fingers, one by one, tightly gripped the Azure Aqua Light Chain in her hands. Her eyes were a little gloomy. I will be worried about him. He knows that you will be worried about him, but Qingluo, you should be clear that your responsibility is not only because of your feelings. You are shouldering too many things. Barbaric Bloodbone King patted Yi Qingluo's shoulder lightly. If you don't need to go to the Earth Realm, this god believes that the Overlord will definitely bring you along to the Imperial Palace, to accompany him. But you must go to the Earth Realm, and you must go. Yi Qingluo's heart thumped hard. That was right, she had to go to the Earth Domain. It was her unavoidable responsibility. Actually, you don't have to worry. Barbaric Bloodbone King looked at Yi Qingluo indifferently. His strength is unfathomable. Even this god is unable to see through his true realm. After all, the Bloodbone Barbarian King was someone from the divine world. Even after being sealed for 10,000 years, his own strength was there. However, he still could not see through Dmo Xian's profound grade and strength. Even from Dmo Xian's body, They could not sense any profound qi fluctuations at all. Under such circumstances, there were only two possibilities. Firstly, Dmo Xian was an ordinary person without any profound energy. Secondly, Dmo Xian's strength was above him. With Dmo Xian's reputation, it was definitely not the first one. Then there was only the second possibility. Go and rest. We still have to go to the Earth domain tomorrow morning. The barbaric Blood King pressed her shoulder and pushed her back to her room. Yiqing Luo's footsteps walked back step by step. His heart was heavy and uncomfortable. Her Xian. No matter what decision she made, he would support her without hesitation and stand behind her unconditionally. Whenever she needed help, he was always ready to help. But she, even though he had come this far, he had grown to such an extent, she was still unable to help Dmo Xian. I heard the conversation between you and Chi-Chi just now. The barbaric Bloodbone King pressed her onto a chair and sat down beside her. You and Dizun are indeed very close. He paused and seemed to hesitate for a long time before asking, why did you choose to be with him? Regarding the matters of the outside world, the barbaric Bloodbone King did not understand. However, he had heard of His Majesty's name countless times during this period of time. He's always been good. Dizun was famous in the three realms, mysterious, powerful, and lofty. How could he fall in love with a little girl from an inferior world? No matter how devastatingly beautiful Yiqing Luo was. For people like Dizun, it wasn't like he hadn't seen any ladies who were more beautiful than Yiqing Luo. But the Overlord had chosen Yiqing Luo. Out of concern for Yiqing Luo, the barbaric Bloodbone King felt that it was necessary for him to clarify this matter. After all, such feelings, the disparity was too great, but they loved each other so much. He had no choice but to suspect the Overlord's real motive for Yiqing Luo. /html/book/43/43766/L. Chapter 4669. Perhaps it's because fate has decided it. Cell phone. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes as she looked at the azure aqua light chain in her palm, which seemed to be tainted with a man's presence as her gaze gradually softened. From the first time I met him, we were already fated to be together. The first time they met. Then he put his pair of mandarin duck rings on her hands. And because of that, he handed his entire life over to her. This was the fate that was fated. Bloodbone Barbaric King muttered the words fated softly. The expression on his face was a little bitter, as though he had recalled the scenes that year. Yiqing Luo didn't say another word. She looked at the azure aqua light chain for a long time. Then she slowly wore the azure aqua light chain around her neck. She shut her eyes as she suppressed the surging impulse in her heart. Now that things had come to this, she could only trust Dmo Xian. Trust that after he settled all the matters, he would go to the Earth realm to look for her. Her hand gently caressed the profound phoenix ring on her fingertips. As though through the profound phoenix ring, she was able to transmit her longing to him. I can tell that you really love him. Bloodbone Barbaric King gave a low chuckle. He said love and not like. Yiqing Luo smiled as she calmly nodded. Yes, I love him. She raised her hand slightly and pressed her lips on the profound phoenix ring as her voice was gentle as she said word by word. In the past, I never believed in the so-called feelings in this world. But after meeting him, I believe it. No one will be like him, accepting everything about me. And making his biggest concession and change for me. Obviously, a highly respected and secretive existence like Dmo Xian. But time and time again, he broke his own bottom line for her. Caring for her. Even more so, he placed everyone whom she cared about in his heart. His possessiveness was very strong. He wished to monopolize her. But it was to make her happy. To be able to coexist peacefully with the world group whom she cared about. Everything about him revolved around her. That silly man, for her, had really sacrificed a lot. A lot. Bloodbone Barbaric King looked at Yiqing Luo's current expression. From her eyes, one could tell just how sincere her feelings towards Dmo Xian were. Such a gaze. He had seen it in Feng Ji's eyes before. However, he was not the only one who made Feng Ge look at him like that. Looking at the face that was almost similar to Feng Ji's. The barbaric Bloodbone King's eyes gradually became hazy. His thoughts seemed to fly back to that period of time in the past. Thinking of my mother again? Yiqing Luo tilted her head to look at Bloodbone Barbaric King as her lips curled into an arc. If mother knew that you loved her so much, if she could do it all over again, back then she would definitely choose you. The barbaric Bloodbone King's eyes narrowed. A self-deprecating look appeared on his handsome face. He shook his head. She will only have familial love for me forever. Familial love will never become love. He knew Feng Ge too well. He would never make such a conjecture. Even if he had to do it all over again. Even without A Huang. There would be a second A Huang and a third A Huang. In short, it would never be him. Looking at the self-deprecating expression on the barbaric Bloodbone King's face. For a moment, Yiqing Luo didn't know how to console her. As for the relationship between his mother and the barbaric Bloodbone King, what she knew was only a superficial part of it. Don't look at this god with such a pitiful gaze. The emotions in the barbaric Bloodbone King's eyes had already regained its calmness as his lips curled slightly. This god already knew the ending, but I have never regretted my own choice. /HTML/book/43/43766/L. Chapter 4670. Even if she doesn't love you? Yiqing Luo asked curiously. Yes, even if she doesn't love me. Bloodbone Barbaric King's tone was firm. I have hated her for thousands of years, but I have never regretted falling in love with her. That firm tone. That firm gaze. All of them were expressing his feelings. Yiqing Luo stretched her waist. The expression on her face was no longer tensed. All right, you have successfully comforted me. I will not let my imagination run wild anymore. She knew that when Bloodbone Barbaric King asked her about her feelings towards Dmo Xian, it wasn't just because of his suspicions towards Dmo Xian. After such a long time, Bloodbone Barbaric King could naturally tell the feelings between Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian. Other than doubting Dmo Xian's original intention, the most important thing was to unknowingly comfort her. Since she loved Dmo Xian so deeply, then she should believe in Dmo Xian. Believe that he would not bear to let her be upset. Believe that no matter what, he would take good care of himself. Then he would return to her side safely. Bloodbone Barbaric King stood up. Have a good rest. Saying that, he left the room. Yiqing Luo hugged Chi-Chi and leaned against the bed for a while before she slowly closed her eyes and forced herself to rest. The next day, the group of people were ready to set off. Other than Ren Jiaming, who stayed behind, everyone else headed towards the Earth Realm. Yiqing Luo instructed Ren Jiaming not to leave the hiding place no matter what. If the Heaven Realm wasn't Ren Jianing's home ground, they would definitely dig 3 feet into the ground to catch Ren Jiaming. After all, based on Ren Jianing's rebirth experience, how many times had she wanted to catch Ren Jiaming? She had also said that Ren Jiaming was a variable in the Heaven Realm. The secluded palace would not allow any variable to exist. When the group saw that Yiqing Luo was alone and saw her exhausted look, apparently she didn't sleep well last night, they tactfully didn't mention Dmo Xian. Right, why haven't Master Gui Wu and Zhou Mo returned yet? Yiqing Luo looked at Qiao Jin and asked in puzzlement. It seemed that ever since the Heaven Realm, she hadn't seen Gui Wu and the rest. Even her cat had no idea where Zhou Mo had abducted it. With Master Gui Wu and Ghost Bandit around, there shouldn't be any problems, Qiao Jin replied. Indeed, those people were there. Her cat should be fine too. Yiqing Luo directly took out the sacred beast bead in the Gu residence and activated the passageway to the realm. In the Earth domain, the flames of war continued unabated, and killing intent rose and fell. The sky was filled with blood and profound ripples, causing people to be overwhelmed with shock. The minute Yiqing Luo and the others reached the Earth boundary, they were shocked by the scene in front of them so much that they almost couldn't regain their senses. The Earth Realm and the Heaven Realm had already started a war. Furthermore, from the looks of it, it was obvious that the Earth domain was no longer a match for them. Were they trying to destroy the land or invade it? Gu Zixi and Huang Fusheng's faces turned livid. Their eyes clenched tightly into fists, and after exchanging glances with one another, they opened their mouths towards Yiqing Luo. Let's make a trip back to the treasures gathering trading hall first. And the Qiao family. And bloody mercenary group. Looking at the flames of war that filled the sky. The once glorious realm main city was now desolate and filled with ruins. Yiqing Luo looked at the few people behind her as she muttered to herself for some time. Then she opened her mouth to arrange. Jinzi Xiaoyi, the two of you first protect Xian Xian back to the Miaogu family, and ask them clearly about the matter regarding Elder Wu. This might be related to the heart-devouring parasite in Ajan's body. This book came from Chapter 46-71. Then what about you? Yan Xiaoyi pursed her lips. Where are you going alone? Yiqing Luo's expression was grave. Don't worry about me, I'll make a trip to the Hell Palace. The Earth Realm and Heaven Realm were fighting. The Hell Palace was a strange existence in the Earth Realm. She wondered if that bunch of lunatics from the Hell Palace would interfere in this war. Now the situation in the Earth Realm is not clear. If we split up, there's a possibility. Qiao Jin's face was filled with hesitation. He who had already reverted back to his original appearance. Even if he was frowning, he still had a different kind of handsomeness. Yiqing Luo raised her hand to stop his words. I have a blink movement secret art. Even if the people from the secluded palace discover my existence, they will not be able to catch me. But you guys must be careful. The few of them exhorted one another for a while, and went their separate ways. After sending Yan Xiaoyi and the other two off with her eyes, Yiqing Luo followed Di Emotian's memory of bringing her to the Hell Palace, and arrived at the Hell Palace. Compared to the outside world where the flames of war continued, the Hell Palace's side was not affected much. The pitch-black space was filled with a strange evil qi. Yiqing Luo headed towards the pitch-black space and walked for a long distance. Her mind was calculating the exact location of the Hell Palace's door, which appeared out of thin air the last time she was here. She had yet to get close. Suddenly, she heard a loud roar reverberating in the space. Who dares to barge into the Hell Palace? Are you here to create trouble? Or are you here to fight with us? Very good. It was a familiar formula. A familiar opening line. Yiqing Luo was completely sure now. This war between the Heaven Realm and Earth Realm. It had no influence on the Hell Palace. The Hell Palace's door opened. An old man rushed out. His body was still the familiar dirty mess, a head of messy hair scattered behind him, giving off a moldy smell. That man rushed to Yiqing Luo, raised the big machete in his hand and chopped downwards. Yiqing Luo. She moved her leg, lifted her leg, and kicked that person's body. A bam sound was heard. That man fell heavily onto the ground. F***K. Oh no, help! The person who is causing trouble is too strong. The old man sprawled on the ground. Hell Palace's lord, save me, save me. Yiqing Luo. She didn't use any strength at all, okay? Wasn't her acting a little too much? Following the old man's sorrowful wails. After a while, hurried footsteps could be heard coming from the underworld palace. About 5 unkempt old men rushed out. Aren't those fools fighting with the Heaven Realm outside? Who would come to the underworld palace to cause trouble? The old man in the lead said impatiently. The 5 of them walked out. The old man who was howling on the ground immediately got up from the ground and scurried to the back of the 5 people. It's her. That's her. Coming to the underworld palace alone to cause trouble. He must be an expert. Yiqing Luo, who was alone. Was this the reason why he was acting like a drama queen? In the darkness, the faces of both sides could not be seen clearly. The old man in the lead slowly walked towards Yiqing Luo and was just about to open his mouth. He heard a familiar and clear voice. Old Lai, long time no see. The old man in the lead immediately stiffened. His eyes widened in disbelief as he asked tentatively, Madam, Madam. The man in the lead was Old Lai. The minute he opened his mouth, Yiqing Luo recognized his voice. Old Lai's sleeves moved and lit the candle on the rock wall. Under the dim light, the young girl's beautiful face was slowly reflected in the eyes of the few people present. This book came from Chapter 46-72. The red-robed black-haired young lady was dazzling in this pitch-black space. Old Lai rushed to Yiqing Luo. Imperial Madam, is it really you? Why are you here? He kicked away the few old men beside him. Quick, 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 please come in, come in. Yi Qing Luo didn't stand on ceremony with Old Lai. She followed behind Old Lai and entered the Hell Palace. In the Hell Palace, there was a treacherous and gloomy atmosphere. Only after a long distance did he light a candle. The dim light made it hard to see the ground clearly. Old Lai was obviously very excited. As he led the way, he kept talking about the current situation in the Earth domain. For example, ever since Yi Qing Luo left the Earth domain, Xiao family took over the treasure exchange house. But it was still under Pei Sheng's name. For example, ever since Yi Qing Luo left the Earth domain, Xiao family passed the election and became without embroiling city's city lord. Another example was that not long later, the entire Earth domain would probably merge into 3 cities. And so on and so forth. Yi Qing Luo had been listening quietly. The few old men behind her were also quiet, and didn't dare to interrupt Old Lai's words. Until Old Lai finally finished his words, he turned to look at Yi Qing Luo and asked curiously, Imperial Madam, didn't you go to the Heaven Realm? Why are you back so soon? How is it? Is the Heaven Realm fun? Looking at the old man's excited expression, Yi Qing Luo sighed softly. Don't you know very well why I am back? A light voice sounded faintly in the quiet passageway. It gave off a feeling of illusory nothingness. Old Lai's voice paused as he turned his head and walked in front. The flickering candlelight swayed, elongating his figure. Yi Qing Luo followed behind and continued. The Heaven Realm has been invaded by the Dark Palace, and they have their eyes on the Earth domain, so I came to the Earth domain. She paused and suddenly took 2 quick steps forward as she raised her hand and pressed on Old Lai's shoulder. The Earth domain has already become like this. I don't believe you don't know. Old Lai stopped and turned around. He tilted his head and looked at the hand on his shoulder. His voice was flat and cold. Yes, I know about the current situation in the land. If you know, why didn't you make a move? Yi Qing Luo didn't know if she was blaming or questioning. From the moment she stepped into the Underworld Palace, she knew that the Underworld Palace did not plan to participate in the dispute between the 2 realms. The war could not affect them. They also didn't want to influence the war. In the current situation in the land, this was a strange existence. Lao Lai walked forward again. As he walked, his voice was very calm and indifferent. Why? I just don't want to pay attention to this kind of boring fight. To you, the bigger the scene, the more exciting it is, isn't it? Yi Qing Luo's brows rose as she caught the loophole in Old Lai's words. Lao Lai turned to look at her. Even if you know, don't say it out loud. It's not easy for me to find a decent excuse. Yi Qing Luo laughed. You're still the same as before, you haven't changed at all. However, you've changed. Lao Lai looked her up and down. Compared to the last time I saw you, you are even more beautiful. This wasn't a compliment. But Yi Qing Luo's temperament was totally different. As though she had been reborn. She gave off a confident and ostentatious feeling. This kind of ostentatious feeling wasn't repulsive. This book came from Chapter 4673. I'm guessing that Madam Empress has obtained an opportunity in the Heaven Realm and advanced? Old Lai looked at Yi Qing Luo as he clicked his tongue and shook his head. Initially, when I heard that you were captured, I wasn't worried at all. Anyway, you're a freak. Even if you were captured, you might have advanced or broken through in the process. Cell phone. Yi Qing Luo. Are you sure it's not because you have Hell Palace's eyes in the Heaven Realm? Old Lai replied. Even if you've seen through it, it's not easy to pretend to be deep. Yi Qing Luo. This old man was still as amusing as usual. The group of them walked into the Hell Palace. When they reached the Hell Palace, the surroundings were no longer pitch black like before. The surroundings were brightly lit, and tent-like houses were scattered all over the place. What made Yi Qing Luo speechless was, outside these messy tents, rubbish, food or messy daily necessities were all piled up on the entire street. Yi Qing Luo could even see worms wriggling nearby. Yi Qing Luo. Staying in this kind of place, it was no wonder that they looked like unkempt beggars. Had she entered a beggar's den? Yi Qing Luo's lips twitched. Along the way, there were quite a number of people who shot strange glances at her. Towards this bright and beautiful lady, They expressed their goodwill. Their beggar's den. Pooey, it's Hell Palace. How long had it been since a lady came to them? Not right. It should be. Not a single lady had come. There was no lady who could stay here for a joss stick's time. This young lady was brought here by the Hell Palace's lord? Could it be that she was kidnapped? 10 over unkempt beggars started to flock over. Their faces were filled with curiosity and suspicions towards Yiqing Luo. Some of them went up to Old Lai and those few old men behind him, trying to find out about the lady's identity. Those who went up to Old Lai had a fawning smile on their faces. Hell Palace's lord, don't tell me you saw that we've been alone for too long and specially kidnapped a delicate young lady from the outside for us to satisfy our cravings. While saying these lewd words, that person's gaze swept past Yiqing Luo from head to toe. His blatant gaze made Yiqing Luo frown slightly. A hint of displeasure appeared in his eyes. Lao Lai's face changed, and he punched the man in the face. Get lost. I'll turn anyone who dares to let their imagination run wild and disrespect Madame D. The man was sent flying and fell to the ground, crying out in pain. The other dozens of people were stunned. For a moment, no one dared to tease him anymore. Even those dirty looks in his eyes were all retracted. Old Lai looked at Yiqing Luo smilingly. Don't bother about them, they're just a bunch of perverts who hadn't seen a woman for 800 years. Saying that, he led Yiqing Luo to the largest and slightly cleaner tent area. Imperial Madam, please take a rest here. I'll get someone to clean up the place. Old Lai dragged out a wooden stool from the tent and tugged his sleeves as he wiped the stool fiercely before passing it over to Yiqing Luo's side. Yiqing Luo. Actually, she didn't want to sit. She took a look at the dirty and messy environment in the Hell Palace as she rubbed her forehead. No need to trouble yourself. I'm just here to meet you, to understand the current situation in the Earth domain. I have to rush back now. /HTML/book/43/43766/L. Chapter 4674. Imperial Madam, you're going to intervene in the war between the two realms? An old man who was following behind Old Lai understood the meaning behind Yiqing Luo's words. Yiqing Luo nodded. After all, in this war, I also have a responsibility. Most importantly, her gaze fell on Old Lai. I don't want Tenebrous Palace to get what they want. If Tenebrous Palace really wants to rule the three realms and become the master of the three realms, I won't be any better off. It was very likely that she would be the first target. Lao Lai and the others fell silent. Yiqing Luo spoke out calmly. The reason why I'm here is not to persuade you to intervene in this war. Old Lai looked at Yiqing Luo as he pursed his lips tightly. After a long while he sighed and said, Forget it, you will find out sooner or later. He said, I know what you mean. There is enmity between the Palace of Darkness and our Underworld Palace. Last time, they used the Underworld Palace to kill so many people of our Underworld Palace. Logically speaking, when we see the Palace of Darkness, we should kill them. But, Lao Lai rubbed his forehead. There was some worry on his aged face. It is impossible for the land to win this war. Because they couldn't win. He didn't dare to gamble with the Underworld Palace. The outside world all said that the people from the Underworld Palace were a bunch of lunatics. He was not afraid of death. However, they were not afraid of their own deaths. They didn't want to see their brothers die. Hence, after the representative from the Palace of Gloomy Darkness visited them and made an exchange with them, they considered it for a long time. Or should I decide? He agreed to Palace of Gloomy Darkness request. This battle, the Palace of Gloomy Darkness did not touch them. They would never interfere. He also deliberately forced himself not to care about the war. He listened to the people of Hell Palace talking about their deal with the Palace of Darkness. Yiqing Luo's expression didn't reveal much emotional changes. Everything they said was within her expectations. How many powerhouses are left in the Earth realm? Yiqing Luo understood their actions. If not for the fact that the Palace of Gloomy Darkness's target had always been her. Even if the Palace of Darkness destroyed the world. As long as they didn't provoke her, she couldn't be bothered with them. Lao Lai told him everything he knew in a concise and comprehensive manner. This was because the Heaven Realm, led by the Ren family, had launched an attack on the Land Realm. He had breached the barrier that maintained peace between the two realms. The three main cities of the Earth domain combined into one, with the Qiao family as the leader, to resist them. Although the strength of the Earth Realm was not as strong as the Heaven Realm, but everyone wanted to protect their home. How could he be willing to give in so easily? In addition, there were many otherworldly experts and various forces in the Earth Realm who had joined. He also heard that the Qiao family had sent an invincible 100-man team. He actually spent a full 2 days with the Heaven Realm. However, the Earth Realm had suffered heavy losses. It was very likely that he wouldn't be able to last more than 3 days. Hearing the figure given by Old Lai, Yiqing Luo's expression congealed slightly. The number given by Lao Lai must have been a combination of many factors. The Earth domain probably wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Looking at Yiqing Luo's tightly knitted brows, Old Lai consoled her. Now that you're here in the Earth domain, perhaps the time can be extended by another day. If the Overlord is here, then there's a possibility that the Earth domain can be saved. Yiqing Luo's brows twitched slightly. He has something on. Only a few friends and I are here in the Earth domain. Don't tell me. Imperial Madam hasn't established your own force in the Heaven Realm? Old Lai asked hesitantly when he heard that. Chapter 46-75. Yiqing Luo shook her head. No. Lao Lai was silent for a while before he continued. Actually, there is another important reason why we agreed to the Palace of Gloomy Shadow's request. He looked at Yiqing Luo as he said word by word. I'm guessing that the mastermind behind the secluded Darkness Palace is possibly from God Realm. Immortal world. For them, he was a godlike existence. The Earth Realm could hold out against the Heaven Realm for a day or two. However, if the immortal world were to make a move, no matter if it was the Earth Realm or the Heaven Realm, they would not be able to withstand a single move. This was the God Realm. But anything related to the God Realm was limited to legends. That was because it had been a very, very long time since anyone from the realm of the gods had appeared. After Old Lai said this, he secretly stared at Yiqing Luo's expression. But when he saw Yiqing Luo, she didn't look surprised at all. You knew about it long ago? Yiqing Luo was indeed not surprised. Guesses about the identity of the person behind the Dark Palace. She and Dmo Xian had already guessed it a few hundred times. Basically, it could be confirmed. They were people from the God Realm. Moreover, it was very likely that it was someone from 10,000 years ago, before the Divine Emperor passed away. You know that the mastermind behind the Nether Palace is from the God Realm, but you definitely don't know that this war is not only because of the mastermind behind the Nether Palace, but also because of a person from the God Realm, right? Old Lai lowered his voice. More than one. That was to say, apart from the people behind the Dark Palace. Were there other people from the divine world who had interfered in this matter? Yiqing Luo's eyes changed slightly. Old Lai chuckled. Then word by word he said in an incomparably clear voice, it can be said that this war is actually a war that the God Realm has tacitly agreed to. This war isn't started by the Palace of Umbra. It's started by the God Realm. Divine Realm? This news made Yiqing Luo's composed expression change slightly. What you mean is, the one who wants to become the master of the three realms is actually God Realm. The divine world wanted to unify all the planes? Yes. Lao Lai showed a rare solemn expression. This matter involves more than just the personal grudge between us and the Palace of Darkness. No matter how much they resisted, there was no way they could fight back against the God world. Are you sure these news are true? Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as she asked in a deep voice. I'm not sure. I don't have any actual evidence. Lao Lai shook his head. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath. In her mind, she sorted out all the information that Lao Lai had told her. He suddenly felt a headache. The Palace of Darkness was pushing her too hard. But at the same time, she was also forcing the Palace of Darkness very hard. One was the Dark Palace. That was enough to make them battered. Who would have thought that it would involve the God Realm? If what Old Lai said was true, the God realm had tacitly agreed to this war. If she tried to stop him, that would make the entire God realm their enemy. God realm, Nyangqin's world. The world she was trying so hard to climb. What a headache. The tiredness from not having a good rest last night arose spontaneously. Yiqing Luo's slender jade-like hand rubbed her aching brows. I will remember everything you said. She waved her hand. You guys continue to hide. I have to make a trip to the Qiao family. You still decided to intervene in this matter? Lao Lai was stunned when he heard Yiqing Luo's words. Yiqing Luo had already walked back to the way she came. Her clear voice was filled with irresistible charm. If I don't intervene, will the Palace of Darkness stop? Even if it is related to the God realm, I must take part in this war. Dear, this chapter has ended. I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 46-76. If the person behind this is someone from the God realm, you have no way to go against him. Are you still going to go? Old Lai asked again. Yes. Yiqing Luo replied without hesitation. If the person behind this is really related to the God realm, I will skin that God realm alive. Old Lai didn't say another word. After Yiqing Luo left the Hell Palace, she headed straight for the Qiao family. The entire territory had almost turned into a pile of ruins. The flames of war raged in the sky. Blood stained the ground. The howls of the war pets were deafening. It was a horrible sight. Yiqing Luo sat on Chi-Chi's back and soon arrived at the Qiao family. The Qiao family was considered as the only complete mansion in the entire without embroiling city. To be more precise, within a radius of 500 meters around the Qiao family's mansion, everything was still in its original state. 500 meters away, there were the flames of war in the ruins, and smoke rose from all directions. Because the Qiao family's mansion was not far from the battlefield, it could be said that all the forces who participated in the war were resting and replenishing at the Qiao family's mansion. When Yiqing Luo rode on Chi-Chi and landed at the entrance of the Qiao family's mansion, it scared the cultivators stationed there. One by one, they held spears and surrounded Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo looked around and got straight to the point. I want to see the Qiao family's patriarch. The cultivators' faces congealed as they looked at this young lady vigilantly. Who are you? Why do you want to see our city lord? Go tell the Qiao family's patriarch that Di Luo is back. Yiqing Luo explained indifferently. The cultivators looked at each other in dismay, feeling somewhat suspicious. Someone was about to go over to inform. Then he heard a delicate and cold voice shout. Miss, what kind of place do you think the Qiao family is? Do you think you can see the city lord Qiao whenever you want to? Following that, a lady walked out of the Qiao family's mansion. That lady, even in the midst of the war, was still dressed up exquisitely. Her hair was combed into a complicated and exquisite style with a pearl tassel, swaying as she walked. She was dressed in a long dress, embroidered with exquisite peonies, extremely gorgeous and eye-catching. When they saw that person, the profounders instantly put away their weapons, bowed slightly towards that person, and called out respectfully, Lord Profound Maiden. The woman raised her chin arrogantly, her eyes filled with arrogance. This person is obviously sent by the enemy to disturb the morale of the army. Take him away and kill him. She swept a disdainful glance towards Yiqing Luo's direction. But when his gaze fell onto Yiqing Luo obviously felt the jealousy in the lady's eyes. Yiqing Luo touched her own face in understanding. Her fair fingers rubbed her chin for a while. She lazily stroked Chi-Chi's fluffy fur, and the corners of her mouth curled into a cold smile. Miss, although I know that my face is indeed devastatingly beautiful and can cause chaos in the hearts of the army, but you don't have to say it out loud. She purposely lengthened the last syllable. She chuckled softly, and her eyes were incomparably bewitching. I am thin-skinned. I'll be shy. The surrounding profounders were speechless. What do you mean by shy? They couldn't see any shyness on this girl's face. She was really narcissistic. That lady's expression sunk, as the malevolence in her eyes deepened. She muttered softly, shameless slut. Following that, she stared at those profounders. Still not dragging her away. The profounders took a look at the lady and adjusted their states. They raised their weapons again, aiming at Yiqing Luo. Dear, this chapter has ended. I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 46-77. Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change much. She leaped up and lightly jumped down from Chi-Chi's back. Her long and narrow eyes rose slightly. Oh, the external enemy hasn't been settled yet, and there's already an internal fight? Is this the current quality of the Earth domain? Her fingertips moved. A blazing red fan contrasted with her fair fingers. Looks like we still have to fight. Her pink lips curled slightly as her gaze casually swept towards that lady. If you're hurt anywhere, it's your own responsibility. The young lady's relaxed and smiling expression made that lady's disgust deepened. She was about to respond to Yiqing Luo's words. Suddenly, she heard an uncertain exclamation from the crowd. Could it be? Could it be that you're that red-robed war god? Foreign Yiqing Luo. Dressed in a red robe, devastatingly beautiful. A red fan, overflowing with fragrance. Wasn't it referring to the young lady in front of them? When the red-robed war god was mentioned, the surrounding profound practitioners instantly burst into an uproar. Each of them stared at Yiqing Luo, sizing her up, as if they had seen some rare treasure. That gaze made Yiqing Luo unable to maintain the pretentiousness which she had painstakingly put up. And that lady who was addressed as Mysterious Fairy, when she heard the words red-robed war god. Her eyes revealed an obvious disgust. She curled her lips and sneered. Now anyone can pretend to be a red-robed war god? Do you think you're a red-robed war god just because you wear a red robe and hold a broken fan? Oh. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Broken fan? Are you sure? Yiqing Luo didn't want to pick a fight. After all, she was returning to the Earth domain to help them fight against the Heaven domain, which was the secluded palace. Fighting in the Qiao residence. Wouldn't that be killing each other? But unfortunately, there had to be a retard who came forward to offer his head. What else could she do? She was in despair. Her glower flame fan was not something to be called a broken fan. Her fingertips suddenly moved. A ray of dazzling light turned into a red flowing light. When it closed in on the woman, it was like a sharp blade, directly brushing past the woman's face. Hiss! The woman didn't have time to react to this sudden attack. The dark ripples directly cut through the woman's face. Viscous blood oozed out. You actually dared to hurt me? The woman covered her face filled with disbelief. Warm blood stained her palm. The woman's eyes were dyed red by the blood. Why are you still standing there? Quickly capture her. She roared furiously at the profound practitioners. However, those profounders weren't as respectful as before. Instead, he stared at Yiqing Luo in a daze. It's really the red-clothed god of war. It's the red-clothed god of war himself. Hurry up and inform City Lord Qiao that the red-clothed battle god has returned. There is hope for the Earth. There is hope for the Earth. All of the profound practitioners were shouting, red-clothed war god, in excitement. The woman stood to the side like a clown. Her face was filled with shame and anger. Just then, a voice came from afar. What's all this noise about? Are you all in a hurry to die? Why are all of you shouting? City Lord Qiao is here. City Lord Qiao, come over quickly, look who's here. A group of cultivators swarmed towards the direction of the voice. Then they pushed City Lord Qiao Jingming in front of Yiqing Luo. Dear, this chapter has ended. I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 46-78. The 34 to 35-year-old man looked much older now. His face was filled with exhaustion. His eyes were bloodshot. Apparently, he hadn't rested for a long time. When that pair of bloodshot eyes fell onto Yiqing Luo, the young lady's lips curled upwards as she smiled lightly. City Lord Qiao, long time no see. Qiao Jingming went into a daze for a moment. Following that, he almost jumped up as he stared at the young lady in front of him with wide eyes. Imperial Madam. Imperial Madam. You're here. He excitedly rushed to Yiqing Luo as he sized her up from head to toe. Not an impersonator, not a fake. Imperial Madam, why are you back? That look totally didn't look like a dignified and imposing city lord. Congratulations on becoming the lord of the 3 cities. Yiqing Luo nodded as she smiled. Yes, lord of the 3 cities. The current Earth realm no longer had the distinction of 3 cities. Patriarch Qiao had directly upgraded from Patriarch Qiao to City Lord Qiao. And after the 3 cities merged into one, the name was still without embroiling city. As for the reason, Qiao Jingming was too lazy to think about it, so he directly used the name of the city he was in. City Lord Qiao's face was filled with joy. This rascal will definitely be very excited to see you. Let's go in and meet the big guy. Saying that, City Lord Qiao excitedly pulled Yiqing Luo as they walked into the Qiao residence. When they passed by that lady who was addressed as Mysterious Maiden, their footsteps paused slightly. That lady was about to open her mouth to complain to City Lord Qiao. But she heard a young lady's clear voice asking, City Lord Qiao, who is this lady? City Lord Qiao glanced at the woman and said, she is the mysterious lady that the Linglong Palace Hall has groomed. She is also the only mysterious lady left in the Linglong Palace Hall. This time, she specially brought the Linglong Palace Hall's forces to participate in the war. After a simple explanation, he continued to pull Yiqing Luo forward. Don't bother about her, let's go in first and give everyone a surprise. That unimportant tone was like a heavy slap on that lady's face. Linglong Palace. Mysterious Maiden? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly, as she gave that lady a meaningful look. She had thought that the Linglong Palace had been completely destroyed after she had caused a ruckus at the Linglong Palace and exposed the barbaric Blood King's true identity. Who would have thought that the Linglong Palace still existed? However, the barbaric Bloodbone King did not seem to be in charge of the Linglong Palace anymore. Which faction did the Linglong Palace Hall's forces belong to? City Lord Qiao urged anxiously. Yiqing Luo didn't think any further as she retracted her sizing gaze and followed City Lord Qiao towards the main hall's courtyard. As he walked, he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Come and see who I've brought for you." There were many people standing in the courtyard of the main hall. There were also a few others sitting at a stone table, discussing something. When Yiqing Luo was pulled in by City Lord Qiao, when he came face to face with a courtyard full of people, in an instant, the entire noisy courtyard fell silent. Qing Luo. Madam Qing Luo. Madam Qing Luo. Shouts after shouts broke the silence. Some of them couldn't help but had red eyes. Even their voices were filled with choking sobs. Madam Qing Luo. Finally, someone couldn't control himself as he dashed towards Yiqing Luo, hugging her tightly. One person moved. 10 over people swarmed forward. City Lord Qiao and the group of cultivators behind him were all dumbstruck when they saw the scene in front of them. Dear, this chapter has ended. I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 46-79. 10 over young men and young ladies surrounded that red-robed young lady, bawling their eyes out like children. This scene, it really made one unable to relate. When they were on the battlefield, that austere, ruthless and decisive look. At that time, when they saw this group of young men and young ladies, they were still astonished at their maturity. They felt that they totally didn't look like children of this age. Even when they were facing them, they were all extremely mature. But at this very moment, in front of the young lady, they revealed the emotions that they should have at their age. As though they had finally found the fulcrum that they had been working hard on all along. That red-robed young lady was the fulcrum of this group of young men and young ladies. City Lord Qiao and the cultivators behind him exchanged glances. Then he quietly retreated. This rare warmth was left to them. Yiqing Luo's current feelings were complicated and touched. He looked at the familiar faces in front of him, which had obviously grown up. His heart felt as if it was being pressed down by something. Very warm. It was so warm that her eyes turned red. In her ears she could hear their voices calling out her name. Yiqing Luo's lips slowly curled upwards. His gaze slowly swept across the familiar faces in front of him. A smile blossomed on her lips. It was filled with tears, but it was extremely beautiful. Brothers of the World Group, I'm returning to the group. The young lady's clear voice paused after every word, sonorous and forceful. It made everyone's eyes turn red again. After that, one by one they stood up. All of them were in line with Yiqing Luo's training in the past, standing in a straight line. Then one by one they opened their mouths. The World Group, Beiming Lulu. The World Group Enai Ruopan. The World Group Danbaishi. The World Group. The World Group. One by one, the young men and young ladies started to report their names. Their voices were loud and clear, filled with passion. Until the last person reported. The person sitting by the stone table took small steps as she walked step by step to the front of the group. Pink dress, expressionless, lowly raised her head. The little person used a flat voice as she said word by word. The World Group Mo Yuing, the World Group Qiao Jin, the World Group Yin Xiaoyi. She paused for a moment and continued. The World Group Leader Long Yun Zhan. Return to the team. The last two words came out of her mouth. The eyes of the dozens of boys and girls in front of him reddened again. Yiqing Luo slowly walked towards them and stood beside Mo Yuing. He turned around and looked ahead. There was a hint of emotion in the girl's voice as she sobbed. The World Group, Yiqing Luo. Everyone has returned. Everyone's throats tightened and tears streamed down their cheeks. For a moment they were speechless. It was as if the scene of them fighting side by side in the past appeared before his eyes. Everyone fought together for the honor of the group. He fought to protect the people around him. Fight for yourself. Then, in order to catch up with Yiqing Luo's footsteps, in order to continue fighting side by side. Everything I've been through. It was a memory that they would cherish for the rest of their lives. They had finally come to her side. They had finally fulfilled their promise. Finally, they could once again stand together and fight side by side. This was the agreement of the World Group. This was their agreement. Yiqing Luo stood ramrod straight. She could clearly feel the burning gazes behind her. The sour feeling in her nose made her eyes turn even redder. She shut her eyes forcefully. Following that, her lips slowly curled upwards, revealing a radiant and warm smile as she slowly turned around to look at everyone. Dear, this chapter has ended. I hope you enjoy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 4680. The young lady's smile was peerless, so bright that nothing could compare. Her voice was clear and filled with power. Brothers, I'm back. As though everyone had returned to the past. That period when they were still in devil class, fighting together, proving themselves together, taking down the glory that belonged to them together. Building a mercenary group that belonged to them together. Growing together on the path of the strong. Together. There were too many shared memories. As though, it seemed like it had happened yesterday. Although they looked tired, they were full of energy and had clearly matured. Yiqing Luo's heart was filled with emotions. Everyone, for her, risked their lives to come to the Earth Realm. For her, they participated in the battle between the Earth Realm and Heaven Realm. The group of them huddled together, feeling touched. After a long time, then they regained their senses. Yiqing Luo pulled the group of people and sat down directly in the courtyard. She surveyed the surroundings. Devil classes students, almost all of them were here. There were also more than a dozen strangers. Baiming Lulu immediately explained. After you left, there were quite a number of people who wanted to join the World Group. After the group leader and everyone's screening, we recruited less than 50 new members. A portion of the members had just gone to the battlefield. These members are back to rest, even though they had never met before. But it was because of the relationship between the entire group. They felt touched. Where's group leader? And why didn't Ziqing and the rest come to look for us? Mo Yuing grabbed Yiqing Luo's hand and shook it, blinking expressionlessly as she asked. Mentioning group leader and the others. Everyone quietened down. Didn't group leader and vice group leader come to look for Madame Qing Luo earlier? Why didn't they follow Madame Qing Luo? Yiqing Luo's smile suddenly congealed. The expression on her face slowly sunk. Everyone saw this and their hearts tightened as their eyes filled with panic. What's the matter? Is it group leader and the rest? Baiming Lulu's face turned slightly pale as her tone became cautious when she asked. The joy of their reunion just now was washed away in an instant. Yiqing Luo shook her head. I asked Jinzi and Xiaoyi to help out with some matters. They might be back within these 2 days. She paused for a moment. Her pink lips were a little dry as she pursed them before continuing. But, Ajanhi. Commander, what's wrong? Everyone only heard the first 2 words and hurriedly interrupted. Baiming Lulu grabbed Yiqing Luo's arm. Everyone's breathing stagnated, and their fingers unconsciously tightened. Don't be anxious. Yiqing Luo gently patted Baiming Lulu's hand. Ajan, he's fine for now at least. For now he's fine. Everyone's face turned pale. How could they not be worried? For a moment, everyone was asking about Long Yunzhan's situation. Yiqing Luo gave a concise and comprehensive explanation. However, he did not exaggerate the seriousness of the matter. When everyone heard this, there was another moment of silence. They respected their regiment commander. He had suddenly become a member of the Palace of Gloomy Darkness? Why did their regiment commander have so many identities? A moment later, it was a human dragon with formidable strength. Then he became a member of the Palace of Gloomy Darkness. They and the Palace of Gloomy Darkness were mortal enemies. The leader was from the Palace of Darkness. Wouldn't they have to meet their regiment commander on the battlefield? Or perhaps, the death choice question had appeared? Choose the regiment commander or Madame Qing Luo. Choose one out of the 2. Chapter 4681. Everyone was silent for a long time. For a long time, he was unable to regain his senses from Yiqing Luo's words. After a long time, Mo Yuing slowly raised her head. Her eyes looked at Yiqing Luo without blinking, as she asked in a flat voice. The current group leader, if she saw all of us, would she also take action? Yiqing Luo remained silent for a moment, not wanting to lie to them. Yes. If she lied to them to make them feel better. At that time, if they really fought against Long Yunzhan, it was easy for Long Yunzhan to injure him. If Long Yunzhan had really hurt any of them, not only was the world group injured, Long Yunzhan probably wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Everyone's faces froze, and after a long while, they slowly lowered their heads. Their faces were filled with an indescribable sense of loss. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a smile as her voice was gentle. At least, what we can confirm now is that before the Palace of Seclusion's motive is achieved, Ajan will be fine. Then he said word by word confidently, I will have Ajan return to our side once more. I will have the Ajan that belongs to us return once more. Everyone's eyes narrowed slightly. Following that, his unwavering gaze looked towards Yiqing Luo. As long as it was something that Madame Qing Luo said, then it will definitely come true. Because Madame Qing Luo would definitely work hard for what she had said. They believed it. The sorrowful atmosphere caused by Long Yunzhan gradually warmed up. Dozens of people were telling each other about the recent events. The entire courtyard was bustling with noise and enthusiasm. He didn't notice either. Outside the courtyard stood a petite figure. The woman in the light blue dress clenched her fists tightly as she glared at the joyous scene in the courtyard. His face turned red. She was embarrassed and annoyed. Yiqing Luo's appearance had turned her into a fool, a joke. It was as though Yiqing Luo had given her a tight slap on her face. It was very embarrassing. Initially, when he first met Yiqing Luo, it was because he was jealous of her gorgeous looks. But now, he hated her from the bottom of his heart. He couldn't wait to slash Yiqing Luo's hypocritical face. What red-clothed god of war? At the end of the day, she was just a woman who relied on Dizun to become famous. Pretending to be a god of war? Especially, when she looked at the courtyard, she saw the young men and women who were clearly outsiders, and even treated her coldly when she took the initiative to befriend them. At this moment, he actually respected and valued her, as if she was a god. There was an indescribable twist in her heart. Jealousy disfigured her. At night, with Yiqing Luo's arrival, City Lord Qiao organized a simple banquet in order to let the various powerhouses in the Earth domain get to know Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo actually rejected it. She was here to fight. What banquet? However, City Lord Qiao was very insistent. After all, the moment Yiqing Luo arrived, she would be the main force of this battle. The people of the major forces had to recognize her. She also had to remember the big shots of the major forces to prevent any accidents from happening. Although it was called a banquet, it was actually just a gathering of the big shots of the factions that were still stationed in the land domain to have dinner together. Dinner was a bowl of cold water and 2 steamed buns. Not even a mouthful of porridge. Now that the war was going on, resources were being consumed very quickly. Naturally, no one would waste it. Yiqing Luo had just reached the place where the banquet was held, which was the main hall of the Qiao residence. She saw a gorgeously dressed mysterious maiden standing at the entrance, raising her head in anticipation with a bashful look, as though she was waiting for something. When she saw Yiqing Luo, her expression sunk slightly as she shifted her gaze away, as though she didn't want to see Yiqing Luo. Chapter 4682. She didn't want to create any trouble. Yiqing Luo naturally couldn't be bothered about it. She was feeling happy about her reunion with her brothers. She didn't want to spoil her own mood because of an unnecessary person. But the truth was, Yiqing Luo didn't want to bother about it. But she couldn't avoid it. Just as Yiqing Luo walked past Mysterious Fairy and was about to enter the main hall, she heard the lady beside her exclaiming in surprise, "Brother Yin, you're here." The lady's eyes shone brightly as the blush on her face deepened. Immediately after, she dashed over to that side. This dash collided into Yiqing Luo. The force was extremely strong. It made Yiqing Luo's wrist hurt a little. She furrowed her brows and pushed him away impatiently. The lady's body flew out directly as she fell heavily onto the ground. Immediately after, she cried out in pain as she held onto her chest and slowly propped herself up with an extremely painful look. What's going on? What's going on? In the main hall, various powerhouses were still discussing about Yiqing Luo's return. Suddenly hearing the commotion outside, all of them thought that it was an enemy attack as they flew out. "Miss Mysterious Fairy, what's wrong with you? Who hurt Miss Mysterious Fairy?" Some powerhouses went up to support the lady. The lady's beautiful eyes blinked as she pointed at Yiqing Luo in an aggrieved manner. It's her. I don't know why she suddenly made a move on me." Everyone looked towards the direction where the lady was pointing. What entered their eyes was an alluring young lady dressed in a red robe. Instantly, all the hands which were going to support the lady stopped. The people from the various factions looked at the woman with complicated expressions before looking at the calm and composed young girl. Following that, they slowly retracted their hands and took 2 steps away from the lady. That action was obviously to draw a line with her. The lady's face turned red as tears started to flow. "What I said is true. Brother Yin can testify. Big Brother Yin saw it clearly just now." Everyone's expressions turned even more awkward. The lady looked at Yiqing Luo in grief as she put on an extremely aggrieved look. "Brother Yin, help me speak up. Was she the one who pushed me?" Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto the man not too far away. The most eye-catching thing was still the man's long silver hair. He was dressed in black and had silver hair. He was extraordinarily handsome. That face was as stunning as ever. Whereas the man who was being stared at by the lady, who looked as though he was begging for love, didn't even bother to take a look at that lady as his gaze was fixed on Yiqing Luo. Soon after, his thin lips twitched, and his voice was slightly gentle. "Long time no see, Luo." Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she waved at him. "Eldest young Master Qiao, long time no see." The two looked at each other and smiled. That smile was like a piercing needle in the woman's eyes. The aggrieved look on her face disappeared. Originally, he just wanted to make use of Yiqing Luo, to injure her. That way, Xiao Yinyan would be able to take her to the hospital. She could also make use of her charm to make Xiao Yinyan fall in love with her. At the same time, he could also let the people of the major forces know, this bitch is just a good-for-nothing who relies on his majesty. But, no matter how much the woman planned in her heart, she couldn't accept the truth in front of her. Brother Yin knew that bitch. Moreover, their relationship wasn't bad. Her brother Yin was extremely cold in front of anyone. Only when facing that bunch of people from the world group would he be slightly gentler. But Chapter 4683. It must be that slut who seduced Brother Ian. The woman clenched her teeth tightly as she was filled with resentment. Just as she was about to open her mouth to let others notice her, standing not too far away, a certain powerhouse persuaded in a low voice, "Miss Profound Maiden, perhaps you have some misunderstanding towards Madame D. Based on Madame D's character, if she wants to do something, she will absolutely not conceal it, nor will she deny her own actions. Not to mention that Madame D has no interest in making a move against you. Even if she did, I'm afraid no one in the entire Earth domain would say a single word." That person paused for a moment as he continued in a ridiculing tone. "If Miss Profound Maiden doesn't want to embarrass yourself further, then it's best that you stop your own thoughts." Saying that, he left the woman's boundary. The woman was so infuriated that her face turned green and white. How could she not tell that person was ridiculing her? What was a small broken powerhouse? How dare she ridicule her, the dignified Linglong Palace's Miss Profound Maiden? The woman was furious and annoyed. However, she didn't bother about the woman's interlude. Yi Qingluo and Qiao Yinyan stood side by side as they walked directly into the main hall. A group of people from various large powerhouses entered as well. Yi Qingluo's position was arranged next to City Lord Qiao. Dragged by City Lord Qiao, Yi Qingluo got to know quite a number of powerhouses' big shots. Yi Qingluo was then free. She slipped over to her own brother's side. Nai Ruopan leaned forward with an obvious teasing smile on her face. "I heard that you've been eyed by Chu Zhishang earlier?" The group of brothers came later, so they missed the wonderful scene just now. Yi Qingluo's slender brows rose as she knew that the Chu Zhishang she mentioned should be referring to that Miss Profound Maiden. "Have you realized how hateful that Chu Zhishang is?" Bei Minglulu also leaned over as her lips twitched with a look of disdain. "Always relying on her identity as Linglong Palace's miss to act high and mighty in front of us. Sigh. If it wasn't for the Earth domain, I wouldn't put up with that temper of hers." The World Group's members had a rather deep grudge towards that Miss Profound Maiden. Yi Qingluo's pink lips curled as her gaze fell onto Qiao Yinyan as she gave a teasing smile. "That Chu Zhishang should like Yinyan, right? Right. Big Brother Ian is always chasing behind young Master Qiao." And Irupin rolled her eyes. Everyone can tell that Shadow is the only one in young Master Qiao's heart. Qiao Yinyan sighed helplessly when he heard their teasing. "I don't want to be bothered by that kind of person either. If she comes looking for me, I'll have to explain everything to Ing. The group of people laughed even louder. Yi Qingluo sat by Qiao Yinyan's side and took a look at the silent little Lolita who was gnawing on her steamed bun in the crowd. "You and Shadow, what's the progress now?" Even Qiao Yinyan had gone to the Nirvana realm for the sake of Shadow. The Shadow was in a state of lacking a soul. Then he should have been moved, right? Qiao Yinyan shook his head. The expression on his handsome face was very indifferent. But Yi Qingluo could see his tenderness towards the Shadow from his brows. "She still can't remember me, but it doesn't matter. I can wait for her." Yi Qingluo patted his shoulder. "Actually, it's not bad to let her fall in love with you once again." Qiao Yinyan laughed lightly but didn't reply. "The both of you, it's better not to put your arms around each other's shoulders. Look at that pair of eyes. I reckon they have the heart to tear you into pieces." Nai Rupin came over and knocked into Yi Qingluo, reminding her with her peripheral vision. Following Nai Rupin's line of sight, Yi Qingluo saw a seat outside the crowd. Miss Profound, who was also Chu Zhishang, sat there, looking at their direction with a venomous gaze. "Dear, this chapter has ended. I wish you a happy reading." Big smiley face. Chapter 4684. Evidently, he had treated Yi Qingluo as his love rival. That stance, Yi Qingluo felt that, if it wasn't for the fact that the occasion wasn't right, Chu Zhishang would probably rush up and tear her apart. This was not an exaggeration. Yi Qingluo glanced at Qiao Yinyan. What young Master Qiao likes is obviously the Shadow. If she wants to tear something, it should be the Shadow, right? Tear her apart? She was just a newbie who had just arrived in the Earth domain. Nai Rupin shook her finger. No. In Chu Zhishang's eyes, Shadow is just a puppet without a soul, and she looks like a little loli. No matter how gentle and considerate young Master Qiao is to Shadow, Chu Zhishang doesn't feel threatened. You mean I'm a bigger threat to her? Yiqing Luo touched her own face and sighed. I'm a femme fatale. You can blame me for being beautiful. The surrounding brothers of the world group couldn't help but laugh. Yes, whether you look good or not, you have the final say. This was also a rare moment of relaxation and joy in the midst of a dangerous battle. The atmosphere there was quite good. Meanwhile, Xiao Yinyan was fighting with the others. The more Chu Zhishang watched, the more annoyed she became. Ever since Yiqing Luo arrived, the attitude of the people in the Earth domain towards her had obviously changed. It was completely different from the respect he had shown before. Furthermore, because of what had happened at the entrance, most of the people looked at her with mocking gazes. On what basis could Yiqing Luo be the center of attention? As for her, she was the laughingstock of everyone. It was clear that during this period of time when the Earth realm and the Heaven realm were at war, she was the one who led the people of Linglong Palace to help. She was sacrificing for the sake of the Earth domain. As for Yiqing Luo, she did nothing at all. Why? Just because she was the woman the Overlord had chosen? This isn't fair. Chu Zhishang was hysterical in her heart. However, he did not dare to make a sound. The resentment in his heart was unbearable. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists and suddenly picked up the wine on the table, stood up and walked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Earlier the grudge between Chu Zhishang and Yiqing Luo, almost everyone present had a rough understanding of it. Looking at Chu Zhishang walking towards Yiqing Luo, for a moment, the entire main hall fell into silence. His eyes were fixed on Chu Zhishang. Empyrean goddess, what are you doing? This is Madame D's welcoming banquet. Don't mess around. The expressions of many faction leaders changed slightly, and they wanted to step forward to stop them. Chu Zhishang raised her chin slightly, revealing her slender and white neck. I just wanted to have a drink with the Emperor's wife to resolve the misunderstanding just now. She curled her red lips into a mocking smile. Could it be that the Emperor lady is so petty that she won't even give me a chance to apologize? The lady's beautiful eyes rested on Xiao Yinyan's face for a long time before slowly shifting to Yiqing Luo. There was an obvious provocation in his eyes. Her fair little hand held onto that wine glass as she raised it slightly towards Yiqing Luo. Imperial Madam, please. Everyone had different expressions on their faces. They could not guess what Chu Zhishang was planning. However, given the current situation, it was not appropriate for him to stop them. What if Chu Zhishang really wanted to resolve the misunderstanding with Deforeign? But at this moment, the noble and elegant girl in red lazily lifted her eyelids. There was not the slightest bit of emotion in her beautiful eyes. It was very cold and indifferent. I'm sorry, I'm just that petty. Her languid and quiet voice was filled with some sarcasm. The girl's eyes were also full of ridicule. So please get lost. At such a young age, she dared to play tricks in front of her? This book came from Chapter 4685. Did she look like someone who would play her cards according to the script? Yiqing Luo replied. Heh. Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. She had not expected Yiqing Luo to express her disgust towards her so straightforwardly. Her expression was awkward as she pursed her lips tightly and found her voice after some time. I just... Stop you. Yiqing Luo interrupted her words. I'm not interested in you. Don't come near me and I'll ignore you. It's very simple. She spread out her hands and shrugged. It was obviously a very vulgar action. But when the young lady did it, it was very noble and elegant. Especially the posture between her brows. It was disdainful. It made Chu Zhishang feel that she was like a lowly ant, like a clown, jumping around in front of the young lady. But the young lady totally didn't treat her as anything. This feeling of being looked down upon made Chu Zhishang's slender fingers clenched even tighter. Her exquisite face was slightly distorted, and because Xiao Yinyan was watching from the side, and suppressing the distortion in her heart, Yiqing Luo slowly put down the wine glass. Her fair and slender fingertips lightly knocked on the table. Then she looked up at Chu Zhishang with a smile and said word by word, Linglong Palace's profound miss. Hold on to your current identity and be quiet. Don't let yourself fall into an embarrassing situation. Chu Zhishang's face flushed red as her fingertips clenched the wine glass tightly. Her brows were covered with a layer of viciousness. Imperial Madam, I just want to toast you a glass of wine. Why must you be so overbearing? Don't tell me you're so arrogant and despotic just because the overlord is backing you up? She clenched her teeth tightly. Profound miss. City Lord Qiao stood up with a bam, as he stared at Chu Zhishang with an ugly expression. Step down. Chu Zhishang raised her chin as her eyes were filled with viciousness. Don't tell me what I said is the truth? After all, Imperial Madam is just a lady who relied on the overlord to climb to this position. If Imperial Madam is really as miraculous as what City Lord said, why not let Imperial Madam lead the team for tomorrow's battle, and let this profound miss see what she's capable of? Chu Zhishang had obviously given up. Every single word and sentence was pressing. Mystic Fairy, if you continue to pester me endlessly, don't blame me for chasing you out. City Governor Qiao was also annoyed. He stood up and shouted, Guards! Soon 2 soldiers rushed in. When City Lord Qiao opened his mouth, Yiqing Luo stood up leisurely. Her fiery red dress was like a flowing cloud, spreading out flames of joy. It also stopped City Lord Qiao from speaking. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled. There was a slight ripple in her long and narrow eyes. She looked at Chu Zhishang with a smile, and her voice was lazy and calm. You want to propose a toast, so I have to say yes. Who do you think you are? The last word was in. It was as if it could cause cardiac arrest. You're right about one thing. The girl's smile deepened, and her eyes revealed a strong sense of mockery. I am relying on Xian's support. Looking at Chu Zhishang's face that alternated between green and white, she smiled even more viciously. What? Are you jealous? But you're jealous. You can't even find someone who's willing to support you. You're shameless. Chu Zhishang was angry and annoyed, extremely embarrassed and resentful. Yiqing Luo continued to smile. You say it as if you're very shameless. Chu Zhishang took a deep breath and took a step back. On her embarrassed face, an unresigned and stubborn expression surfaced. This book came from Chapter 4686. City Lord Qiao. She looked at City Lord Qiao with a whirlpool in her eyes. Imperial Madam is so overbearing and can't tolerate me. If City Lord Qiao is unable to give me an explanation, then I will lead the Linglong Palace. She turned around. Her gaze swept past everyone in the main hall, as she said word by word. Submit to Heaven Realm. The various powerhouses' expressions changed. Mysterious Maiden, isn't it a little inappropriate for you to do this? That's right, it's just a small conflict. If you submit to the Heaven Realm at this moment, wouldn't all your hard work go to waste? Mysterious Maiden, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. They had very few forces in the Earth Realm, although the Linglong Palace was made up of women. But all of them were extremely powerful, almost able to fight 1 against 10. The various powerhouses naturally didn't want to lose this assistance. But no matter how the various powerhouses tried to dissuade her, Chu Zhishang's expression didn't change at all. She stared straight at City Lord Qiao as she raised her chin and threatened. City Lord Qiao, what do you say? City Lord Qiao's expression was slightly dark. The gaze he shot at Chu Zhishang was extremely malicious. City Lord Qiao was the current City Lord. Chu Zhishang's actions were completely stepping on City Lord Qiao's head. But he had to admit that what the various powerhouses said was right. To the current Earth Realm, Linglong Palace was definitely considered as a help. If they lost this help, the Earth Realm's days would be even more difficult. His face turned black as he pondered for some time before he suppressed his anger and said, Mysterious Maiden, the realm's important matter is in front of you, don't joke about it. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions and spoil Mysterious Maiden's reputation. Who told you that I am joking? Chu Zhishang naturally saw through City Lord Qiao's hesitation. She also knew that these people needed the help of the Linglong Palace. That was why she dared to recklessly use it as a bargaining chip to regain her footing. She raised her chin complacently and gave Yiqing Luo a provocative look. City Lord Qiao, The person who doesn't care about the safety of the Earth realm is not me. She looked at Yiqing Luo meaningfully. Of course, this mysterious fairy isn't someone who is calculative. If Imperial Madam is able to apologize for what you said earlier, this mysterious fairy will forgive you. For a moment, no one knew how to persuade him. City Lord Qiao's face darkened with anger. The surroundings were quiet, but the Brothers of the World group could not hold it in. Just when Ni Rupan, Baiming Lulu, and the others were about to stand up and scold Chu Zhishang, the girl waved her slender white hand. He easily suppressed all his anger. There wasn't the slightest bit of emotion on the young girl's beautiful face. Languid and calm. Then with that kind of emotion, he looked at Chu Zhishang indifferently. Does Empyrean Fairy know that what you are doing now, in the words of our Nirvana realm, is called treason with the enemy? The arc on Yiqing Luo's lips was very shallow and her voice was faint and calm. Chu Zhishang bit her lips. You forced me to do this. Treason with the enemy, to us, is considered as a traitor. Traitor's ending is usually very tragic. Yiqing Luo leaned forward slightly. Her little hand pressed on the table in front of her as she looked at her with a smile. Has Empyrean Fairy made up her mind to become a traitor? That smile. It fell into Chu Zhishang's eyes. Like a sharp blade, it pierced into her eyes. Chu Zhishang's hand shook. She refused to admit defeat and continued. Yes. If you don't apologize for what happened earlier, this mysterious fairy will seek refuge with Heaven Realm. This book came from Chapter 4687. In the end, he gritted his teeth and added, if the land suffers another heavy blow, you will be the main culprit. Yiqing Luo replied with an "Oh, mysterious maiden thinks so highly of yourself?" Chu Zhishang blushed and said coldly, you know nothing about the war between the land and the God realm. Of course, you don't know how important I am to the land. Yiqing Luo nodded her head thoughtfully. But I feel that mysterious maiden is totally useless in this battle. Soon after, she smiled and said in a clear voice, then take care. I won't send you off. Chu Zhishang's face was full of embarrassment and anger. She looked around angrily. Are you just going to let her mess around here? City Lord Qiao, shouldn't you say something? But no one answered her. No one opened their mouth to say a word. Chu Zhishang's delicate body trembled slightly. Good. You better not regret it. Yiqing Luo replied with a smile. Mysterious maiden shouldn't regret it. Chu Zhishang was furious. She flicked her sleeves and turned to leave. When she reached the door, she deliberately paused. However, he didn't hear any words of persuasion. She gritted her teeth and stomped out of the room. It was not until Chu Zhishang walked far away that someone asked in a trembling voice, Imperial Madam, are you really letting her leave just like that? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she looked at that person. Can't bear to? If you can't bear to, then go after her. No. That person paled in fright. I'm just worried that if the Earth Realm loses the support of the Linglong Palace, it will... Who said that the Earth Realm would lose the Linglong Palace? Yiqing Luo interrupted that person's words. That person was startled. Even the surrounding people were stunned. The young girl's eyes were calm, without a single ripple. A mysterious fairy wants to control the Linglong Palace? Aren't you afraid of bursting? Her lips curled into a smile. Between his brows, there was confidence and arrogance. Don't worry, everyone. The Linglong Palace won't leave. Only Chu Zhishang will leave. Everyone looked at each other. Could it be? Had the imperial lady already taken over the Linglong Palace without anyone noticing? Was that why he was so confident? However, there was nothing wrong with what the emperor lady said. The crowd did not pursue the matter any further. Although he believed Yiqing Luo's words, but he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. Xiao Yinyan took a look at Yiqing Luo. Linglong Palace Hall. If they don't want to kill you the moment they see you, would they still listen to you? Yiqing Luo touched her own face. Being beautiful means that you can do whatever you want. They are all addicted to my peerless beauty, so they listen to me. Xiao Yinyan. Everyone in the world group. Compared to the nervousness in the hearts of the people from the major forces, they were very relaxed and satisfied. because they knew that Yiqing Luo wouldn't make meaningless guarantees. Yiqing Luo got up and hooked her finger at them. How about it? Want to follow along to watch the show? Look at the scene where Chu Zhishang was slapped in the face. Chu Zhishang walked towards her courtyard in shame and indignation. Because the Linglong Palace Hall was filled with women, it was not convenient for them to live together with a group of burly men. City Lord Qiao gave them a courtyard to stay in. During this great battle, to be able to have a courtyard on its own was already considered as a luxury. Because of this, Chu Zhishang had always felt that her status among the forces in the Earth domain was extraordinary. She walked into the courtyard and looked at the disciples who were training in the courtyard as she shouted sternly, "From today onwards, we will no longer help the Earth domain." This book came from Chapter 4688. The disciples who were training immediately stopped what they were doing. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists, her eyes cold. Since they don't need the help of our Linglong Palace, we will let them know that losing our Linglong Palace is their biggest loss. There were about 100 people in the courtyard. They were all standing in the same place, looking at Chu Zhishang without blinking. Someone wanted to say something, but Chu Zhishang interrupted. However, she was interrupted by Chu Zhishang again. That slut. She only relied on the Dizun's favor to strut around in front of me. Does she know that without me and the Linglong Palace, the Earth realm would have been defeated a long time ago? Now, I will bring you to help the Heaven realm. With our strength, as long as the Heaven realm wins the war, we will definitely be able to enter the Heaven realm and become its people. Chu Zhishang was already thinking about her future. Her face was full of distortion. That bitch, sooner or later, I will make her kneel and beg me to come back. After saying that, Chu Zhishang flicked her sleeves and strode towards her room. Pack your things and leave the Earth realm with me. The disciples of Linglong Palace. They looked at each other, but stood still and did not move. After about half an hour, Chu Zhishang walked out with 2 packages. She casually threw the packages to the disciple closest to her. The disciple hurriedly caught the packages and looked at her with a strange expression. Chu Zhishang looked at the 100 people still standing in the courtyard, and her face darkened. What are you still doing here? Didn't you hear what I said? However, the crowd still did not move. Chu Zhishang frowned and had an ominous premonition. What do you mean? You don't want to leave with me? Everyone was silent. Chu Zhishang's face was ferocious, and her eyes were cold. Don't forget that you are from the Linglong Palace. Now, I am the only one left in charge of the Linglong Palace. Do you want to betray the Linglong Palace? The hundreds of disciples looked at each other in dismay. Then someone said, "It is because we do not want to betray Linglong Palace that we cannot leave the Earth realm." What do you mean? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists and vaguely guessed something. This mysterious fairy is the mysterious fairy of Linglong Palace. The others are all fake. The disciple of the Linglong Palace shook his head. Lady Mystic Fairy, we have received orders from the headquarters of the Linglong Palace to defend the Earth domain and fight alongside City Lord Qiao to protect the Earth domain. She paused and asked tentatively, "Didn't Miss Mystic Fairy receive this news?" Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. "It must be Yiqing Luo, that slut who is scheming against me. You've all been cheated." What headquarters orders? Linglong Palace doesn't have any headquarters at all. There's no one who can manage Linglong Palace. But Lady Mystic Maiden, didn't you say before that you would bring us to the Linglong Palace's headquarters to rescue the Linglong Palace's hall master? The expressions of the Linglong Palace's disciples also changed, and their eyes were filled with suspicion. Chu Zhishang's heart shuddered as she pursed her lips tightly and shook her head. No, the news you received must be Yiqing Luo's scheme. That is absolutely not from Linglong Palace's headquarters. The disciple of the Linglong Palace took out a wooden token from his bosom with a cold expression. On the wooden plaque, there was an obvious symbol of the Linglong Palace. Moreover, it was the symbol of the Linglong Palace's hall master. In the entire Linglong Palace, no one could fake it. Chu Zhishang stared at that wooden plaque as her face turned pale. She shook her head as she kept mumbling, "No. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Tomorrow I need to bring Chi-Chi for vaccination. Mother doesn't allow me to stay up late at night." Update one chapter, and apply for a day's leave. Rest for a while and adjust the update time, so as to not need the anti-theft chapter in future. End of this chapter. Watch start to a new chapter section. Please arrive Tang Ko Company, mobile address. Chapter 4689. Lady Mystic Fairy, why didn't you receive any orders from the headquarters of the Linglong Palace? Someone asked. Chu Zhishang's mind was a mess. His scarlet eyes glared angrily at the people in front of him. This is definitely fake. I am the rightful ruler of the Linglong Palace. Everyone looked at Chu Zhishang, who was obviously on the verge of madness, and frowned. Lady Mystic Fairy, no one can fake the symbol of the Linglong Palace Lord. Why are you so sure that it is fake? If Lady Mystic Fairy can't give us a reasonable explanation, how can we trust you? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists. Her sinister and scarlet eyes faintly flashed a cold light. That's because the headquarters of the Nimble Palace is no more. Chu Zhishang's words caused the disciples of the Linglong Palace to have different expressions. Arrogant justice brought that imperial madam, that slut Yiqing Luo, to the Linglong Palace headquarters, and the entire headquarters was destroyed in Yiqing Luo's hands. Yiqing Luo killed the lord of Linglong Palace and destroyed their headquarters. It must be Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo snatched the Linglong Palace lord's seal. You pretended to be the headquarters of the Linglong Palace, and gave orders to you. Chu Zhishang no longer concealed the news from the headquarters. Even if she, the Empyrean Fairy, had deceived the disciples of the Linglong Palace. However, her identity as the Empyrean Fairy was genuine and could not be faked. She was much more noble than that impostor Yiqing Luo. Chu Zhishang's face was distorted as she looked at the disciples mockingly. Are you going to listen to a person who killed the Lord and betray me, the mysterious fairy of the Linglong Palace? She questioned him word by word, as if victory was already in her grasp. The disciples' expressions froze slightly, as if they were pondering over the truth of her words. Now, I'm going to leave the earth realm and head to the heaven realm. Are you going to choose to believe a liar or leave with me? Chu Zhishang strode to the disciple on the side, snatched the 2 parcels, and walked forward. Her back was very straight. It was as if he had a clear conscience. However, until she reached the entrance of the courtyard, there was no sound of footsteps behind her. No one chose to leave with her. No one. How was this possible? Chu Zhishang turned her head in disbelief, and the look of victory suddenly disappeared. She widened her eyes and stared fixedly at the hundreds of motionless disciples behind her. All of you want to betray Linglong Palace. Good. The Linglong Palace nurtured you for so long, and this is how you repay them. If the palace lord were to know of this in the underworld, he would definitely reprimand you for your heartlessness. It was a hysterical voice that sounded like a threat, and an attempt to play the emotional card. The disciples were not shaken in the slightest. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists. She couldn't believe that these disciples had completely ignored her words. Pa. A clapping sound could be heard. In this strange and silent atmosphere, it was especially clear to the ears. With a pale face, Chu Zhishang looked up in the direction of the sound. He saw a beautiful young lady dressed in blazing flames slowly walking over under the escort of the World Group, as well as Qiao Yinyan. Chu Zhishang's eyes, as if she had seen a mortal enemy, stared at Yiqing Luo with resentment. It's you? You killed the palace lord, and even impersonated the Linglong Palace headquarters to give them orders. Yiqing Luo, you're really vicious. Young Miss Chu, I'm afraid that until now, you still haven't figured out the situation right. Yiqing Luo's lips curled slightly as she slowly walked towards her. Chapter 4690. Chu Zhishang's heart skipped a beat as she had an ominous premonition. Yiqing Luo smiled sweetly as her long and narrow eyes were filled with splendor, like a blooming rose. It's not important who killed the Linglong Palace lord. What's important is... She raised her hand. The palm of her hand was a palm-sized Y. In the middle, it was carved with the unique symbol of the Linglong Palace. It was sparkling with a faint glow. Yiqing Luo smiled as she spoke word by word. The management rights of the Linglong Palace is now in my hands. This was. Chu Zhishang was astonished as she went into a daze. As the Linglong Palace's mysterious maiden, how could she not recognize it? This wasn't the Linglong Palace Lord's Y. In the middle. But it was above the Linglong Palace Lord. That mysterious and powerful existence behind the Linglong Palace. The disciples of the Linglong Palace roughly knew that the existence of the Linglong Palace. Even the powerful Palace Lord was afraid of a deity. That person was the one who truly controlled the Linglong Palace. No matter who was elected as the Linglong Palace Lord or mysterious maiden, it all depended on the person behind the Linglong Palace. The Y in Yiqing Luo's hand, in the middle, was that T symbol which only the person behind the scenes of the Linglong Palace had. Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. She looked at the young lady in front of her in a daze. Following that, she clenched the bag tightly as she shook her head. No. Impossible. How could you possibly get this Y? The center. You absolutely cannot be the person in charge of the Linglong Palace, you. This is all fake. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up as she smiled sweetly, elegant and brilliant. I don't care if you think it's fake, as long as the disciples of the Linglong Palace know that this is real. That's enough. She threw the Y in her hand. Center, gently tossed it on her fingertips. That precious Y which made the disciples of the Linglong Palace envious. In the middle, like a toy, Yiqing Luo was playing with it on her fingertips. Chu Zhishang's eyes followed that tossing and dropping Y. In the center, it swam back and forth. Her scarlet eyes were filled with agitation and craziness. Yiqing Luo. This doesn't belong to you, return it to me. Give it back to me. Suddenly, as though she had gone mad, she dashed towards Yiqing Luo. He casually threw the package in his hand to the side. Her fingers were like an eagle's claws, speedily shooting towards the Y that Yiqing Luo had thrown up. The center struck. Yiqing Luo caught took a few steps back. Very quickly, two Linglong Palace's disciples stood in front of Yiqing Luo and blocked Chu Zhishang's attack. Chu Zhishang looked at the two disciples in front of her, who usually listened to her, and now stood on the side of the enemy. She stared at the two disciples. Now you have made up your mind to betray me, the mysterious fairy, right? Without waiting for the two disciples to speak, the girl's leisurely voice could be heard. After all, who would dare to believe a liar's words? They are smart people. How could they betray the Linglong Palace for a swindler? This sentence was strangely familiar. Chu Zhishang was stunned for a while before she remembered. Wasn't that what she said to the Linglong Palace's disciples just now? Wasn't that what she said to the Linglong Palace's disciples earlier? Today, the person in charge of the Linglong Palace is me. Yiqing Luo laughed softly, as her fingertips lazily touched her lower lip, as she opened her mouth. Earlier Miss Chu had already spoken very righteously, wanting to break away from the boundary, so I shall grant Miss Chu your wish. Her voice paused slightly. Her fingertips held on to the Y. In the middle. Chapter 4691. As the person in charge of Linglong Palace, I give a new order. Remove Chu Zhishang from the position of mysterious maiden, and chase her out of Linglong Palace. From today onwards, Chu Zhishang is no longer a member of Linglong Palace. Clear words, one after another, were transmitted into Chu Zhishang's ears. Chu Zhishang's expression congealed. You can't do that. I am the mysterious maiden chosen by the Palace Lord. You don't have this right. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled evilly. Unfortunately, I have this right. What a joke. The founder of Linglong Palace was the barbaric Bloodbone King. Since she came to the Earth Realm, barbaric Bloodbone King used the excuse of investigating something and left. He left a few things for her. This seal was one of them. She didn't think so much at that time. If it wasn't for the fact that Chu Zhishang put her face forward for her to slap, she probably didn't expect that. Linglong Palace could be used. Barbaric Bloodbone King handed Linglong Palace to her. She naturally had to discipline these disciples on behalf of barbaric Bloodbone King. The first thing was to sweep away those who had ulterior motives. It was annoying to see. Chase them away. Power was willful. How would Chu Zhishang let it go? But the next moment, Yiqing Luo waved her hand and asked the Linglong Palace's disciples to carry her out. They also picked up the bag which she threw aside, and threw it out of the safety zone with Qiao residence as the center. Chu Zhishang was mercilessly thrown out of the city by her former subordinates. Until she sat down on the ground, Chu Zhishang had yet to regain her senses. She was chased out of the Earth realm? She actually was really chased out of the Earth realm. And it was only her who was chased out of the Earth realm. In her imagination, she led the Linglong Palace's troops out of the Earth realm, and waited for City Lord Qiao to beg softly and so on. It was totally different from now. Her Linglong Palace's troops had betrayed her. What could she do alone in this battle? She had no capital to negotiate. How would the Heaven Realm agree to her request? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists. Her eyes were horrified and her face twisted with horror. She gritted her teeth and spat out 3 words. Yiqing Luo. Her expression was malevolent as she clenched her teeth and screamed hysterically towards Qiao residence. Yiqing Luo, I will not let you off so easily. Absolutely not. In the Qiao mansion, the sky was filled with Chu Zhishang's resentful roar. Qiao Yinyan cast a sidelong glance at Yiqing Luo. This is the good show you were talking about. And Rua Pan leaned forward. Madam Qing Luo, aren't you worried that she would really do something just to deal with you? Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes were frivolous as she looked at the direction where Chu Zhishang left with a smile that didn't look like a smile. A dim light flashed across his eyes. This is exactly what I wanted. What the hell are you planning? Those who understood Yiqing Luo would know that the current Yiqing Luo was definitely scheming something. Yiqing Luo shook her finger. If I tell you, wouldn't it be meaningless? Xiao Yinyan raised his eyebrows. His handsome face revealed a teasing smile. Don't underestimate the power of a woman's hatred. It's very easy to capsize accidentally. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept past Mo Yuing. Her voice was frivolous as she spoke with a smile. Looks like young Master Qiao is quite familiar with women? I wonder how much of the power of hatred from women has young Master Qiao experienced? Xiao Yinyan. How could such words be spoken so casually? He still had to explain to the shadow. Chapter 4692. Chu Zhishang's episode didn't affect the world group's joy of reunion. That night, the group of them stayed in the courtyard, discussing about their own matters. As for the second day, they didn't sleep at all. So they started their morning training. Apparently, training had become their daily compulsory course, making training into a habit. No matter how strong they were, they would ensure the most basic training every day. This would be of great help to their cultivation. Yiqing Luo accompanied them to train for 2 hours. City Lord Qiao sent someone to invite her for breakfast. He came to look for her early in the morning. Naturally, it wasn't as simple as having breakfast. Definitely. It was for the war between the 2 realms. She didn't mention it yesterday because she knew that their brotherly relationship was deep and it was rare for them to meet again. So she gave them the time to reunite. But in the midst of the war, time was really too precious. Yiqing Luo followed the soldiers to City Lord Qiao's place. She saw a big round table with a pot of thin porridge and a plate of white steamed buns. A few burly men sat beside City Lord Qiao. Yiqing Luo had met them last night and knew them. They were the leaders of the few remaining large factions in the land. Yiqing Luo's gaze fell on the leftmost, a figure who wasn't considered familiar, but not foreign either. Her gaze met that person's gaze for too long. It attracted City Lord Qiao's attention. City Lord Qiao looked at the both of them as he smiled. Madame D and the acting group leader of the Blood Mercenary Group know each other? Yiqing Luo's lips curled slightly. Yes. Her gaze fell onto that person as she smiled faintly. Vice Group Leader Bo, how have you been? That person was the Vice Group Leader of the Blood Mercenary Group. He was the Vice Group Leader who admired Gu Zishi. The Blood Mercenary Group's power was represented by Bo Songyi. Su Qingbing still hadn't returned from the Heaven Realm? Was it because of Zhu Wu Xian? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she slowly walked to Bo Songyi's side and sat down. Very quickly, someone sent over a set of clean bowls and chopsticks. Madame D. Bo Songyi's eyes sunk as he pursed his lips tightly and stared at Yiqing Luo. I have a personal question to ask you, can you answer it? Is it regarding group leader Su or Zishi's matter? Yiqing Luo filled a bowl of porridge as she replied. Bo Songyi's face stiffened. The gazes of the leaders of the major factions were all focused on him. He opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word. Yiqing Luo understood. Bo Songyi obviously wanted to ask about Gu Zishi. He didn't think about his regiment commander at all. She asked this question. If he really answered Gu Zishi's question, it would definitely cause the leaders of those factions to be biased against him. After all, those who wanted to achieve great things couldn't be restricted by love. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. If you ask group leader Su, I've met her once in the heaven realm, but I don't know where she is now. If you ask Zishi, her long and narrow eyes flickered slightly, and her smile became a little more charming. She and Ashang are very close. After the war, we can invite the bloody mercenaries to our wedding. Her answer solved Bo Songyi's problem very well. However, his words were filled with a strong sense of warning. Bo Songyi's pupils constricted. He slowly looked away and said calmly, "Thank you for telling me." Yiqing Luo sat beside him. She could clearly see his fingers, which were slightly curled up under the table. Yiqing Luo sighed silently in her heart. Trouble, trouble. Just hearing about Zishi and Ashang's relationship and his reaction was so huge. When he met the two of them later, wouldn't he be ja? Chapter 46-93. After Bo Songyi responded to Yiqing Luo's words, he lowered his head and didn't say a word. City Lord Qiao directly explained the reason why he asked Yiqing Luo to come over. This battle with the Heaven Realm, the Earth Realm, will be in grave danger. I wonder if everyone has any brilliant ideas to deal with the Heaven Realm? City Lord Qiao asked everyone, but in reality, everyone present understood. This question was only asked to Yiqing Luo alone. If they had a way, if he had revealed the method at the start of the battle, he wouldn't have waited until now. Yiqing Luo's eyes congealed slightly as she placed the spoon in the bowl and looked at City Lord Qiao. Heaven Realm's motive is to invade the land. She paused for a moment, and under the solemn gazes of the others, she said word by word. Its final objective is to unify the three realms and become the true ruler of the world. When Yiqing Luo's words ended, everyone's expression changed drastically. All of them looked at Yiqing Luo in disbelief. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Unify the three realms? Control the world? Are you sure you're not joking? The three realms had always maintained peace, and there had never been any conflicts between them. It had always been a peaceful era. How could anyone have such a ridiculous idea? On the surface, the one leading the war in Heaven Realm is the Ren family, one of the four great families in Heaven Realm. But in reality, the so-called Ren family is just an empty shell. Yiqing Luo knew that they wouldn't believe her so easily and explained slowly. She briefly explained the cooperation between the Ren family and the Palace of Gloomy Darkness. Everyone who heard this was stunned, and they were unable to come back to their senses. Wait. You're saying that the current head of the Ren family is dead? A faction master raised a question. But the heaven is led by the Ren family, and they are gradually conquering the land. If the head of the Ren family died, the Ren family was without a leader. How were they going to lead the various forces of the Heaven Realm to attack the Earth Realm? On the surface, the head of the Ren family, Ren Jianying, is dead, but the real person in charge of the Ren family is not Ren Jianying. Yiqing Luo explained. No matter if it's invading the Earth Realm or controlling the three realms, all of these are because of Palace of Darkness ambition. Gloomy Palace. This wasn't the first time the people from the major forces had heard of this. Some leaders frowned and said worriedly, "What is the background of that dark nether palace? It feels like it appeared out of thin air." After appearing out of thin air, with the fastest speed, he swept away their knowledge. Back then, it had almost destroyed the entire Earth domain. Just where did this come from? Yiqing Luo's eyes congealed slightly. The identity of the person behind the Palace of Darkness, or the information given by the Hell Palace. Before it was confirmed, she couldn't tell anyone. to avoid disturbing the hearts of the crowd. And most importantly, whenever the divine realm was mentioned, this matter had something to do with the God world. The minds of the crowd would not be as pure as they were now. The Earth realm's overall ability is indeed not as good as Heaven realm. Adding on to the fact that Heaven realm has the secluded palace's interference, it would indeed be troublesome to deal with them. Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she analyzed the current situation for everyone. As someone who had just returned from the Heaven realm, she had the most right to speak. Their expressions suddenly changed. Then, could it be that the land can only obediently surrender? It's impossible for me to pledge allegiance, not even in this lifetime. Yiqing Luo raised a finger and shook it. The Earth realm will always be the Earth realm, and will never merge with other realms. The three realms will always be a single entity. Chapter 46-94. The reason why the realms were divided according to the disparity in strength was that the realms were divided into different levels. It was to maintain order in the world. In the world, there were strong and weak, high and low. That was normal. If all the realms fused together, the Nirvana realm could not catch up to the Earth realm. The Earth realm could not catch up to the Heaven realm. Above the heavenly realm, there was still the divine realm. After the disparity in strength was too great, the law of the jungle, the weak would soon be eliminated. Then what? Then, what was left of this world? Only the experts from the divine world, or the Heaven realm were left. If the palace of gloomy darkness wanted to create the most powerful world, however, as mentioned earlier, there were strong and weak people in the world. No one could be invincible. In the end, someone will catch up to you from behind and replace your existence. When the entire world was left with nothing but endless slaughter, what was the point? The people behind the scenes of the gloomy palace only thought about their own benefits. They never thought about the outcome of controlling the world. Based on the current situation, it is indeed difficult for the land to hold on for more than a few days. City Lord Qiao had a troubled look on his face. Right now, most of the forces in the Earth domain are willing to fight alongside the Earth domain. However, as the battle becomes more intense, coupled with the disparity in strength between the Earth domain and the Heaven domain, the Earth domain is increasingly losing. He paused for a moment. There are still many large forces that have yet to participate in the war. The situation of the battle was getting more and more dangerous. On the Heaven realm side, the Ren family was currently leading the charge, killing everyone on the battlefield. He hadn't even seen the shadow of the Dark Palace. However, the Earth domain side was practically unable to send out anyone. That's right. If the Hell Palace, which everyone calls the Lunatics, is willing to join the land, they will definitely be a great help to the land. Also, the former number 1 family in Shadowless City, the Mu family, has no intention of joining the Earth domain. When the leaders of the factions mentioned the Mu family, their expressions were a little strange. Everyone knew. Back then, Yiqing Luo and Mu family's young miss, who was also Shadowless City's mysterious maiden Mu Qiulan, had their hearts set on the Overlord, and even put on an emotional drama with the fake Overlord. At that time, he even became the laughingstock of the 3 main cities. After the Qiao family unified the 3 main cities, because of the relationship between the Qiao family and Yiqing Luo, the Mu family didn't give City Lord Qiao any face. He had no intention of submitting either. At that time, there was no great battle. City Lord Qiao didn't mind. Who would have thought that after the battle began? Although the Mu family did not say that they would help the Heaven realm. However, he did not help the land either. It was just like how the Underworld Palace looked on with folded arms, as if it had nothing to do with them. The Underworld Palace's side was filled with a bunch of fighting lunatics. If the Underworld Palace was willing to lend a hand, the combat power of the land domain would definitely be greatly improved. The Heaven realm would definitely not be able to gain any advantage. As for the Mu family's influence in the land domain was not particularly large. However, the Mu family was still the number 1 family in Shadowless City. It was not only because of the Empyrean fairy chosen by the Linglong Palace. Rather, it was because the Mu clan was proficient in the art of divination and setting up formations. If the Mu family can help, This would definitely be able to destroy most of the forces in the heaven and allow the land to defend for a longer period of time. I know. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk. Old Lai had made it very clear on the Underworld Palace's side. Even if it was for the sake of his brothers in the Underworld Palace, the Underworld Palace would not participate in this war either. As for the Mu family, Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly as a faint cold glint leaked out from the bottom of her eyes. She pursed her lips. The war now is indeed not friendly to the land domain. Chapter 4695. If the Earth Realm's defense line is breached by Heaven Realm, Qiao family, as well as the Earth Realm's forces will swiftly collapse. This was the reason why Heaven Realm kept on launching attacks. They wanted to take advantage of the situation to break through the Earth Realm's defense line. Everyone present naturally understood this in their hearts. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, City Lord Qiao's expression turned solemn. What brilliant idea does Imperial Madam have? Yiqing Luo's fair wrist propped up as her slender fingers gently touched her chin. She gently curved her lower lip, and her long and narrow eyes were filled with a brilliant light. I've already made the first move. The next step is to see if the chess pieces are able to follow the steps that I have planned and place the pieces. The few of them looked at each other in dismay as they didn't understand what she meant. Seeing that Yiqing Luo had no intention to say more, City Lord Qiao didn't pursue further as he stood up. Since Imperial Madam is free to make the arrangements, I shall wait for your good news. If there's anything you need help with, please feel free to instruct me. The battle between the Earth Realm and Heaven Realm had never stopped. The battle was getting more and more anxious. Both parties were locked in a fierce battle. Yiqing Luo asked the World Group to lead a portion of the soldiers to provide support. After that, she left the Qiao residence alone. One force's leader stared at the direction where Yiqing Luo left as he asked solemnly, City Lord Qiao, can Imperial Madam really turn the situation around? Has she already thought of a plan, or is she afraid? The other force's leaders had a complicated expression. Back then the Earth Realm was almost annihilated because of secluded Darkness Palace, and it was Yiqing Luo who saved the people of the Earth Realm. This news was known to the entire Earth Realm, but they had never seen Yiqing Luo's true ability. Moreover, Yiqing Luo was DM Ocean's woman. No matter if it was in the past or present, as long as the lady was slightly stronger, in the outsider's mouths or thoughts, there would always be some strange thoughts. Especially a beautiful lady, and she even had a fiancé who was invincible in the world. Yiqing Luo was strong. Was she strong herself? Or did she rely on the Overlord? They had some suspicions in their hearts. One couldn't blame these forces' leaders for thinking this way. If Yiqing Luo was really as powerful as the rumors said, and was hailed as war god, the war between the earth and the heaven was so dangerous. He should at least go to the battlefield and kill a few people from the heaven, right? But she didn't even go to the battlefield. He only ordered the World Group to rush over. What difference did it make if she was here or not? She couldn't be hiding by herself, could she? City Lord Qiao's gaze was sharp as he stopped those people from speaking. Madame D has her own plans. You don't need to ask or think too much. Just think of a way to deal with the Heaven Realm. The leaders of the various factions were gagged and shut their mouths. But in his heart, he was obviously not convinced. Yiqing Luo sat on Qi and ran straight to the Mu family. She had no intention of persuading the Underworld Palace. As for the Mu family, a cold light flashed across her long and narrow eyes, which seemed to have a deeper meaning. Qi was very fast. They passed through the main city and arrived at the former Shadowless City. The Mu family was not difficult to find. The entire city was practically empty. Only the most luxurious courtyard in the center of the city was still occupied. Yiqing Luo flipped down from Qi's back. After recalling Mu Qi back into the pet space, she headed to the Mu family. He had just arrived at the door. Yiqing Luo was stopped in her tracks by a strong resistance. Old Man Song said in her mind, the reason why the Mu family is able to stay stable in the war is because the Heaven Realm is unable to invade the Mu family. Chapter 4696. The Mu family was good at Chimendunjia. Array was just one of them. Yiqing Luo wasn't surprised that she would be blocked outside. She stood in front of the Mu family's door and took 2 steps back. She immediately raised her finger. The glower flame fan rolled up a profound wave and hit the invisible resistance. Boom! A loud sound rang out. Yiqing Luo could vaguely see a circle of ripples in the air. But her attack didn't enter the Mu family's residence. Instead, it was blocked out of thin air. Yiqing Luo kept the glower flame fan and stood aside. After a while, an old man walked out from the crowd. When he saw the person standing outside the enchantment, his face froze slightly. His fingertip pointed in the air. A circle of light was drawn. The old man walked out of the Mu family's residence. His eyes fell on Yiqing Luo, sizing her up, and slowly opened his mouth. Red God of War. Yiqing Luo? Dressed in red, devastatingly beautiful. A red fan could kill anything. Wasn't this the symbol of the Red God of War? Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly. Can I see the Mu family's patriarch? The old man hesitated for a moment. Wait for me to inform him. Yiqing Luo wasn't in a hurry. Not long after the old man left, he came over to invite Yiqing Luo into the mansion. After Yiqing Luo stepped into the Mu family's residence, the old man quickly repaired the array. He was afraid that a few burly men would suddenly appear behind Yiqing Luo and forcibly rush into the Mu family's residence. But, until Yiqing Luo stepped into the Mu family's residence, the old man didn't notice any dangerous aura around the Mu family's residence. Could it be? Did the God of War in red really come to the Mu family alone? The old man brought Yiqing Luo into the Mu family's residence with doubts, while reminding her not to wander around randomly. One touched. In the Mu family's residence, anything you bump into could be an array or other messy things. Yiqing Luo followed behind the old man and didn't do anything else. Soon, Yiqing Luo was led into a hall. Yiqing Luo also met the current patriarch of the Mu family. Mu family's patriarch was about 50 years old, but his face was extremely healthy and didn't look old. When he saw Yiqing Luo, his expression didn't look too good. Apparently he didn't want to see her. Madam D, are you here to invite me to join the Earth Domain's forces? Mu family's patriarch went straight to the point and didn't intend to chat with Yiqing Luo. The smile on Yiqing Luo's pink lips didn't diminish as she leisurely sat down on the chair by the side, smiling sweetly. Let's not talk about it for now. Yiqing Luo's face. What do you want to do? Luoqing Luo Mu family Yi. I want to hear of Mu family's situation. Master Mu frowned. I'm not interested in this battle, and I don't have any interest in it. I'm afraid Madam D has come to the wrong place. Qing Qi of Tian the battle. Of the Mu family cities, Mu family of the Qing's Tian clans Luo Lord. The only ones who clans Chang is the Qiu. Chung city of. As for Heaven Realm, other than the Ren family and other forces, there are other hidden forces who haven't shown themselves. Even if the Mu family helps the Mu family, it won't be of much use. At most, it can only delay the invasion. The young lady's concise words made Mu family's patriarch's expression turn colder. His brows were almost knitted into a ball. He went straight to the point. But the young lady was more direct than him. What she said made Mu family's patriarch have an ominous premonition. Since you know it's useless, why are you here? Mu family's patriarch's voice was deep. Chapter 4697. Yiqing Luo slightly hooked her lips. There was no change in her expression. She was very calm. Naturally, to prevent the Mu family from helping the Heaven Realm. She chuckled and knocked on the table. The thumping sound was like thunder. It was extremely loud and clear in the hall. Although the Mu family helping the Earth Realm has little effect on the Earth Realm, but if the Mu family helps the Heaven Realm, it will be another situation. Her fingertips stopped abruptly. The smile on the corner of the mouth was even more beautiful, like a blooming mandala, revealing a suffocating charm, but dangerous and fatal. In this way, the impact on the Earth Realm is too great. The Earth Realm can't support it. Mu family patriarch thought that he had been in a high position for decades. What hadn't he seen? Even in the midst of the war between the two realms, He was able to remain unperturbed and remain unfazed. But under the girl's faint smile, he felt a chill down his spine. Mu family patriarch straightened his emotions and said seriously, "The Mu family will not help the Earth realm, nor will they help the Heaven realm." Yiqing Luo chuckled a few times. The low hoarse voice, with a smile, languid, like a curved hook, gently tugged at one's heartstrings. Mu family patriarch's expression became more and more dignified. His body also subconsciously tensed up, as if the secret in the bottom of his heart was spread out and placed in front of him. He clasped his fingers tightly, pressed the chair, stood up suddenly and looked sullen. "Madam, if there is nothing else, please leave the Mu family. The Mu family does not welcome anyone from the Earth realm and the Heaven realm." Yiqing Luo leaned back lazily, retracted her slender white fingers from the table, and put them on her lap. "Mu family patriarch, a straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. You should understand the purpose of my coming here." Mu family patriarch stood there, his gaze was cold, and he looked at Yiqing Luo angrily. "Madam, I don't understand what you are saying, and I don't want to understand." After the roar, Mu family patriarch seemed to realize something, took a deep breath, and calmed his tone. "The Mu family is not willing to intervene in any of the realms. Madam is here. It is easy for the Heaven realm to misunderstand the Mu family. Please do not make things difficult for me." It seems that Patriarch Mu doesn't intend to make it clear. Yiqing Luo's expression was calm and languid. Her long and narrow eyes were curved, hooking a shallow arc. "In this case, I'll make it clear." The head of the Mu family held his breath, and his body tensed up, making his expression somewhat unfriendly. "As I said before, the current situation in the land is extremely dangerous. The world group that I belong to has joined the land domain, and the Linglong Palace has joined the land domain. This is merely a drop in the bucket." The Earth domain still has two major factions, the Hell Palace and the Mu family. Their attitudes are unclear. The reason why the Underworld Palace is able to remain unscathed is because they have a deal with the Palace of Gloomy Darkness. Yiqing Luo's voice was faint. Suddenly her pink lips curled up. Her brows seemed to reveal some coldness. "Then, what about the Mu family?" Patriarch Mu's face suddenly turned pale. Looking at Yiqing Luo's gaze, it revealed some unknown gloominess. Yiqing Luo continued. "Based on Heaven Realm's means, it's impossible to let the Mu family stay out of trouble. According to my understanding of the Palace of Gloomy Darkness, they will either be used by them, or they will get rid of all future troubles. But when I just came to the Mu family, in the radius of 1,000 miles, only the Mu family is safe and sound. This is not just relying on the Mu family's exclusive array to be able to withstand the war." Yiqing Luo's pink lips smiled even more. Her long and narrow eyes were overflowing with vibrant colors. "Patriarch Mu, do you think I've guessed correctly?" End of this chapter. Chapter 4698. Mu family's patriarch's face turned from white to black and then green. Finally, his expression returned to normal. His hands were behind his body as he faced Yiqing Luo. The expression on his face was that of a high-ranking person. "Imperial Madam is indeed smart. Nothing can be hidden from Imperial Madam's eyes." Yiqing Luo's lips curled slightly. "Tell me, what consensus did Misty Palace and Mu family come to?" Mu family's patriarch didn't reply, but looked at Yiqing Luo as his lips curled into an extremely faint cold arc. "Imperial Madam knew that Mu family had already belonged to Misty Palace and came here alone. Did you really feel that other than the art of invisibility, Mu family doesn't know anything else?" Yiqing Luo's brows rose. "What does Mu family patriarch mean?" "Imperial Madam came here alone. I admire your courage." Mu family's patriarch smiled. "But Imperial Madam has belittled Mu family." He took a step back. Dozens of guards dressed in martial attire surrounded the entire hall like a swarm of bees. The young lady, who was surrounded by the crowd, raised her eyes slightly. Her long and enchanting eyes were cold and serene. However, they did not see the slightest bit of panic or astonishment on her face. Her lips curled up as she smiled calmly. Automatic refresh at 6 in the morning. 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 Grand Elder's face turned black as he didn't talk to him anymore. After Long Yunjian appeared, Yiqing Luo's vision was fixed on him. Her eyes were sparkling like water as she stared at Long Yunjian without blinking. Ever since Ren Jianying mentioned Long Yunjian, she could still lie to herself. All these were fake. Ren Jianying intentionally mentioned it to agitate her. But now, Long Yunjian appeared personally said it out. He had indeed made use of her understanding of her to help Misty Palace. Only Misty Palace didn't appreciate it. She snorted lightly, and a cold mocking expression flashed across her face. "You're not allowed to look at him." A large palm covered her eyes. A man's displeased voice was heard. "I'm very unhappy now." Earlier, Yiqing Luo knew that Long Yunjian liked her. Now Yiqing Luo was still staring at Long Yunjian. Even if Dmo Xian knew that his wife had no feelings for Long Yunjian. But the moment Yiqing Luo's gaze looked over, he was displeased. The young lady's long curly lashes slowly swept over Dmo Xian's palm. Her hand covered his large palm and slowly moved away. "All right, I won't look anymore." "Long Yunjian, didn't you want us to believe you? Fine, now, make a move on that woman and make me believe you." The great elder saw that the young couple was still kissing each other, and his expression immediately turned ugly. Long Yunjian did not say a word as he drew out the sword in his hand. The blue profound light shone brightly in the quiet night. He raised his long sword and walked towards Yiqing Luo step by step. Seeing Long Yunjian's action, the first elder couldn't help but laugh out loud. This elder loves this kind of fratricide the most, ha ha. It was only during the day that Long Yunjian faced her with his sword. Now Long Yunjian was once again holding on to that sword which had once protected the World Group's brothers, pointing it at her. Even though she had many justifications for Long Yunjian in her heart, and had thought of numerous reasons for him. But when it came to this kind of situation, this chapter end viewing starting event Zue new chapter section please arrive Tang Ka shop. Mobile address. Chapter 4699. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as her voice sounded seductive. That person who impersonated Xian was sent by Secluded Palace. The people of Gloomy Palace plotted to get close to your daughter, took away her innocence, and played with her in the palm of their hands. With the way the Palace of Darkness does things, how do you think they will treat your daughter after spending so much effort and failing? Patriarch Mu's expression froze, and his eyes were a little gloomy, but he didn't waver because of Yiqing Luo's words. Why should this patriarch believe you? Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. Just based on. I feel that you should love your daughter quite a lot. Patriarch Mu clenched his 5 fingers. Yiqing Luo continued. Mu Qiulan's death might be related to me, but in the end, it was Secluded Darkness Palace who gave Mu Qiulan a huge hope, and then led her to do the wrong thing step by step. She slowly took out the seal of the highest representative of the Linglong Palace. I am now the new palace master of the Linglong Palace. The girl's voice was calm and serene. Due to the scheme of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows, the Palace of Linglong has been torn apart. The previous palace master begged me to avenge the Palace of Linglong, and avenge the mysterious fairies of the Palace of Linglong. His face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't jump as he spouted nonsense with a straight face. The Mu family's patriarch stared blankly at the seal of the Linglong Palace in the young girl's palm. As the father of the Empyrean fairy, naturally he understood the symbol of the Linglong Palace. But, how can you prove that what you said is true? Patriarch Mu was indeed shaken. Just like what Yiqing Luo said. He did love his daughter. Mu Qiulan was the most outstanding child of the Mu family. Ever since he was young, he kept him by his side and carefully taught him. He was then sent to the Linglong Palace. In addition, if what Yiqing Luo said was all true, this also meant that it was all thanks to the Palace of Darkness that the Mu family became a joke and ended up in such a situation. He still had to bend his knees and satisfy all the requests of the Dark Ghost Palace. Even those who still had a little bit of courage left, they probably wouldn't be able to endure such treatment. Yiqing Luo's eyes were as calm as Mount Tai, based on my, Yiqing Luo's identity. Her identity. Patriarch Mu was slightly stunned. He looked at the bright and flamboyant girl in front of him. The feeling in his heart was very complicated. Yiqing Luo's identity. Not only Yiqing Luo, the red-clothed war god who had once saved the land. She was also the fiancée of the overlord, the future mistress of the imperial palace. Patriarch Mu's throat seemed to be choked by something. After a long while he said bitterly, "Since I have already agreed to the conditions of the Palace of Darkness, I will not joke around with the lives of the Mu family." He took a deep breath. "Madam, you can't convince me." So, he looked at the guards surrounding him and said, "Go." His words were forceful and filled with determination. However, his tone was obviously a little weak. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes raised slightly. Her beautiful eyes were still calm and unperturbed. It was as if everything was under her control. It had no effect on her at all. "Don't worry." The girl smiled faintly and slowly walked toward the guards around her. Her red dress was as gorgeous as fire. The majestic aura caused people to feel admiration. The guards did not dare to step forward until the girl's footsteps stopped in the middle of the hall. Her clear eyes were fixated on Patriarch Mu as she said word by word, "I know that Patriarch Mu is an intelligent person." Patriarch Mu's brows twitched. Before he could open his mouth, the young lady in front of him suddenly turned into an afterimage. Everyone in the hall felt a cold breeze blowing against their faces. Where was the young lady's figure in front of them? End of this chapter. Chapter 4700. Patriarch Mu's face slightly froze. They followed the guards to the main hall. He saw that the young girl in the red dress had unknowingly appeared on the eaves of the Mu family's gate. The cold wind blew against her flame-like dress. Her black hair fluttered in the wind. With a smile and a frown, she was incomparably beautiful and bright. "Mu family head, it's not that I'm looking down on the Mu family, it's you who's looking down on me." After saying that, the girl leaped up. It disappeared in the wind. The guards swarmed to give chase. Master Mu spoke up and stopped them. "Forget it, we can't catch up. The girl dares to come to the Mu family alone. How could he not have prepared a way out?" It was just as the girl had said. He underestimated her. They were totally unable to stop Yiqing Luo. After Yiqing Luo left the Mu family, she rushed towards the direction of the battlefield. She was not worried about Master Mu's choice. He didn't expect the Mu family's master to switch sides to the land. Of course, even if the Mu family changed sides, it would not have much of an effect on the current situation in the land. She just wanted to stop the Mu family master from helping the Palace of Darkness. Patriarch Mu was not a fool. After what she had just said, of course, he would think about it and think about it carefully. The Mu family head chose the Umber Palace for the sake of everyone in the Mu family. It was enough to show that Patriarch Mu attached great importance to relationships. If Mu Qiulan had really died because of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows, then Mu Qiulan's ending, that would be the end of the Mu family. It didn't matter if the Mu family stood on the land domain's side, or if they helped the Netherworld Palace. After the war between the two planes ended, everyone in the Mu family will end up like Mu Qiulan. As long as Master Mu's brain wasn't damaged, he would never listen to the arrangements of the Palace of Darkness without any scruples. In this way, Yiqing Luo's motive for coming to the Mu family had been achieved. The battlefield of the Heavenly Realm and the Earth Realm. The Earth Realm was aggressive and full of fighting spirit. It actually suppressed the Heavenly Realm by a notch. The arrogance of the Earth Realm grew stronger as they fought. It was as if he had suddenly found his backbone and became extremely resolute and fearless. After fighting for a while in the Heaven Realm, he could sense that the land was different. On the Ren family's side, someone immediately went to the camp and reported the situation. A low, clear, and icy voice sounded from within the camp. The land faction is getting more and more courageous as the battle progresses. The representative of the Ren family shivered and knelt on the ground, not daring to respond. Soon, the curtains of the camp were pulled open by a slender hand. A tall figure shrouded in a mysterious black robe walked out. When that figure appeared, The surroundings had sunk into an icy cold. It was as if the air was covered in frost. Everyone in the heaven realm trembled as they held their breaths and knelt on the ground. It was obvious that he was extremely afraid of this black-robed man. "Hey, you're just a bunch of ants. No matter how much you jump, it's of no use." The black-robed man sneered, and his tone was cold and mocking. He waved his sleeve. A cold wind blew. Dense, mysterious Yin-Chi slowly spread out. Soon after, a pitch-black shadow appeared in the mysterious Yin-Chi. The sudden appearance of this person was strange and frightening. The people in the heaven realm just took a glance and didn't dare to look up again. The group of ants in the earth realm struggling at death's door, no matter what backbone they have, just break it. The black-robed man sneered sinisterly. "Wu Chun, let those people feel what true despair is." That pitch-black shadow bowed slightly, "Yes." The black-robed man laughed sinisterly, and the person who was called Wu Chun, after responding, suddenly turned into a cloud of black smoke and disappeared in front of everyone. At the end of this chapter, watch Start Zue New Chapter section. Please arrive Tang Ka Shop. Mobile address. Chapter 4701. On the battlefield, the battle cries were heard incessantly. The war drums thundered as the flames of war blazed continuously. Blood stained the ground. After the earth realm's morale rose, heaven realm gradually retreated. This retreat, the earth realm's morale rose. "Kill! Defend our territory!" The earth realm soldiers cried out deafeningly, as though it could shake the heavens and earth. The world group's brothers stood right in front of the battlefield, riding on their magical beasts as they looked towards the heaven realm's side. Their brows were filled with determination. Everyone exchanged glances. All of them saw the same excitement in each other's eyes. It looked like no matter if it was the Nirvana realm or the Earth realm, their Madame Qingluo had always been their pillar of support. As long as Madame Qingluo was around, even if she didn't do anything. However, it allowed everyone to charge forward without any hesitation, because they believed in Yi Qingluo. They believed that no matter what the outcome was, Yi Qingluo would definitely create a miracle. Everyone in the world group had already formed a perverted worship towards Yi Qingluo. No one could destroy their belief. Just as everyone was filled with confidence, preparing to take down the territory in one go, Heaven Realm's side suddenly cried out in shock. The Heaven Realm soldiers all revealed an ecstatic expression. The Earth Realm's people sensed that something was amiss. Immediately following that, they saw a pitch-black figure descending from the sky, standing right in the middle of the battlefield. What monster is that? No, something's wrong. That figure's body is filled with dense, profound Yin-Chi. So scary. I can't even see his face. The Earth Realm's people looked at the sudden appearance of the black figure, as their eyes revealed an astonished expression. That figure was like an evil spirit which had crawled out from the darkness of hell. Extremely horrified, especially when they saw that bunch of guards from Heaven Realm were filled with reverence and fear towards that black figure. The Earth Realm's people sensed that something was amiss. Following that, after that black figure joined the battlefield, the entire battlefield indeed started to turn around. The Earth Realm soldiers whose morale had risen were instantly counterattacked by the Heaven Realm, whereas that black figure's attacks were extremely vicious. It seemed as though it tore anyone it saw into shreds with its bare hands. His methods were sharp and vicious. Blood filled the sky as flesh and blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely horrifying. Moreover, the black figure totally didn't know fatigue. The moment he caught someone, he would tear them apart. Even the group of people from the Heaven Realm were frightened by this fierce battle method. They were both excited and afraid, not daring to approach the shadow. The battlefield had turned into a true Azura battlefield. When had the soldiers of the Earth Domain ever seen such a scene? He was scared out of his wits. The advantage that the land domain had just established collapsed once again. Wherever the black shadow went, it turned into a sea of blood. Even for the world group, it was their first time seeing such a fierce fighting style. Be careful. A member of the world group grabbed onto another person as they avoided the black figure's attack. Everyone carefully avoided the black shadow, trying their best to ensure that they would not get hurt. What kind of monster is this? To actually use a single person's strength to fight against an entire army. The world group shouted out in shock. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he could fight against an army of thousands alone. The appearance of this black shadow completely reversed the entire situation of the battle. Ha ha! A bunch of ants from the Earth domain finally don't dare to jump around anymore. Go. Let's kill this bunch of ants. Lowly people from the Earth domain, you dare to fight with us? The Heaven Realm people also gained confidence. The few young people from the Ren family who had been suppressing their anger during the first few battles finally had a chance to vent it out. Chapter 4702. Whereas on the Earth Realm's side, it was because of the appearance of the Black Shadow. Their originally soaring morale had turned into panic and fear. They were easily shaken. Everyone in the world group's expressions were solemn as they looked at that Black Shadow who had wiped out the entire army, as their hearts were filled with uncontrollable shock. But they couldn't show it on their faces. This Black Shadow, it was really too scary. He was totally a killing machine. He only knew how to kill. He totally disregarded himself as the pitch-black shadow was covered with a large amount of blood. In a split second, this war, which was originally led by the Earth Realm, had turned into a huge loss. Everyone in the world group's expressions sunk as they clenched their teeth tightly as they cried out sternly, "Everyone, don't panic, let's unite together. This person definitely has a way to deal with us. If we panic, then we'll be giving the opponent a chance. Bring out the morale from our earlier battle. Get into formation. As long as we drag till Madame Qing Luo rushes over, we'll have a chance to win." Sonorous and forceful roars were heard. But it didn't make the Earth Realm's people listen to them. Especially the last sentence. It seemed as though it had poked the point of their rage while they were escaping in fear. There were also those who were escaping from the Earth Realm who were cursing angrily. "You're not afraid. Doesn't mean that we're not afraid of that monster. How can we possibly deal with him? By the time you find a way to deal with him, we'll all be dead. What red-robed war god Pui? He doesn't even dare to go onto the battlefield, pushing you bunch of yellow-haired brats up. Who do you think you are? Just don't dare to go onto the battlefield, pretending to be some powerful big shot, only daring to stay in a safe territory, arrogantly chasing people away, but not daring to go onto the battlefield to kill the enemy." Momentarily, the battlefield was filled with insults towards Yi Qing Luo, as though they were venting all the fear in their hearts and the rage from being tortured by the Black Shadow onto Yi Qing Luo. When the world group heard that, they were so infuriated that their faces flushed red. As Yi Qing Luo's diehard fan, and I Ruo Pan was the first to turn red. Madame Qing Luo didn't come to the battlefield. She naturally has her own plans. You guys don't know anything. On what basis do you have to say that about her? Plans. I think she's just afraid to go onto the battlefield. Someone sneered. You all? And I Ruo Pan was so angry that her eyes turned red, but her brain couldn't think a single word of insults. Baiming Lulu pulled an I Ruo Pan behind her, and used her small body to block an I Ruo Pan. His gaze towards those people from the Earth Realm turned cold. Since you don't believe in Qing Luo's ability, then there's no need for us to stand here. Finishing her words, Baiming Lulu waved her hand, and called out to the world group's people to leave. The Linglong Palace's disciples naturally followed behind the world group. The main force left the battlefield midway. This is very bad for the situation. Immediately, some of the powers panicked. What kind of joke is this? We're in the middle of a great battle. You want to leave just like that? As expected of a group of brats. They don't know the rules at all. The war hasn't ended yet. What right do you have to leave? The faces of the world group turned uglier and uglier. The speed at which the Black Shadows slaughtered was getting faster and faster. He was still in a daze. In the blink of an eye, he had already killed his way to the front of some of the forces. Fear in the face of the shadow. We are not people from the Earth domain. What does the Earth domain have to do with us? If we help you, it is a favor. If we don't help you, it is our duty. Since you look down on us children, why do you need to rely on our strength? Because of my body, I have been adjusting my sleep schedule recently. The babies who are familiar with Master MO would know that I had been flipping day and night, causing my body to be unable to take it. My spine, stomach, kidneys, endocrine and other bodily functions are getting weaker and weaker. Maybe after sitting in front of the computer for a while. My ears are buzzing and my head is spinning. My eyes would suddenly turn black, and I would quickly wake up. Adding on to my age, I'm not considered young anymore. My body isn't as good as before. The doctor strongly reminded me not to stay up late, and my mother is keeping a close eye on me. I've been pulling all-nighters for about a year. My body's habits make it so that I can't sleep at night. When I finally fall asleep and it's daytime, my mother would force me to wake up. I can only rely on food and habits to sleep at night. Adding on to the fact that I'm updating 2 books at the same time, I've been in a drowsy state during the day. I can only reduce my updates. Reducing updates means that my income will drop and that I'll lose the right to receive the full attendance award. There are many things that I'll lose, including a portion of you who have been supporting me until now. But for the sake of my body, I can only choose this. I hope that the babies can understand. The body is your own, so everyone must take care of your body and sleep early and wake up early. Don't think that it doesn't matter just because you're young. That's what I thought in the past. As a result, my body is even worse than a 30 to 40-year-old person. My last sentence. I'm only updating less, but I definitely won't stop updating. Once I've adjusted myself, I'll immediately resume updating 4 chapters. End of this chapter. Watch start Zue new chapter section. Please arrive Tangka shop. Mobile address. That you're tuning into the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.